That's good to go. All right. Getting ready to go. Hopefully we're good to go here. Um, um, Hi, everybody. Yeah, just getting started here. Hopefully we can have some good conversations this evening. I'm just kind of farting around right now, but yeah, hopefully. Oh, I suppose one of the things I should do is actually open the guest queue. That's probably going to be helpful so people can actually request up. So I know when people are requesting up. Um, Once I kind of get settled here, we can start trying to have some good conversations. Obviously, the goal is going to be to have good faith, linear conversations about whether or not there is justification to believe in a God. Just want to make sure that you are 18 plus and actually have some kind of argument or evidence. Doing just fine today, Ragnar. How about yourself? Glad to see you, Gravity Bends. Oh, thanks for the shares, the taps. Glad to hear you're doing well, Ragnar. Glad to hear it. Um, yeah, thanks for tapping the screen, for sharing all that stuff. Definitely helps. Hopefully, we can get a good amount of people in here, so we actually have some people requesting and having good conversations this evening. I felt like last night, I felt like last night went fairly well. I think we had a good stream overall. I don't know where to put this fucking thing, like right over my face. I don't know. Hey, both sides. Thanks for thanks for being here. Appreciate you. But yeah, just looking for folks who are 18 plus and actually have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Not too much special going on today. Meta oncology, something about cancer. Cancer. um, yeah. Um, I'm reading a book on metaphysics right now, and it's kind of talking about some ontology stuff. Um, I don't have like a super specific view on ontology. I'm still kind of trying to figure that stuff out. Like I would currently call myself a nominalist, but I don't know. Like, well, I definitely like have ontological positions. I just am not like super firm on them. Um, yeah, there and like there are ontological positions that I currently hold that I'm like actively looking for arguments to convince me they're wrong. Um, but um, yeah, I don't know. I'm open to like some forms of Platonism, so I don't know if I'll end up in that boat eventually. No idea. Um, just kind of reading some stuff right now. Actually, uh, currently reading about the special composition question, which is one that is um, super interesting to me. Um, I try not to talk about physical framework maps my experiences, allows me to make predictions. Yeah, I think that there's like something to like physicalism and nominalism. I just don't know, like, I don't know. I like prima facie. I find Quine's idea of ontology pretty um, compelling. Like, uh, initially, but the problem is once you start learning about it and looking into it, you realize that Quine was just like, I don't know, it's fucking cope. Yeah, no, I definitely get that both sides, and I think that that's fine. I don't think there's like anything wrong with that. Taking that um, and just saying like, look, this is what works for me best pragmatically, and I don't know, you know, whether there's anything more to be said about it. And I think that's fine. Like, I don't think personally, I don't think that there's an issue with that. I just am not satisfied with that. So if I have a position like that, I'm just going to keep digging until I feel like I can take some position or other. Um, but yeah, hopefully we can actually have some good faith, linear conversations about whether or not there are rational justifications for believing in God. Of course, my position is that no such justification exists. Um, hopefully, we'll get some folks up here. Hey, Monkey Boy, good to see you, as always. Just getting started, hoping that we can have some good convos. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Nice. Sounds like things are looking up in Monkey Boy's world. That's awesome. Give me a quick second here. Probably should unmute myself before I start talking again. Um, but yeah, just looking for folks who are 18 plus and actually have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Um, it, I'm an atheist. I currently don't believe in any gods, anything supernatural, any of that. But hey, maybe somebody will convince me. So let's see if we can have our first conversation of the evening.
Hello?
Hi. How old are you?
What's up? 27.
Do you believe in a God?
Not any specific God, but I believe there is a God.
Sure. Is it like a immaterial mind that created and sustains the universe, something along those lines?
Yeah, something like that. Like I don't follow any scriptures or, follow any of the religious books or anything. But I think there is a God that exists in some fashion.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we're talking about the same thing when we say God, so that we don't end up finding out, 20 minutes into the conversation that we're just talking past each other. So I just want to make sure it's like like a mind that, like maybe a personal ultimate foundation to reality, something like that.
Mm, yeah, I'd say so.
Okay. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would give us rational justification to believe in such a thing?
Well, so what I would say, before I get into any like justification, I would say I would want to ask you, why would you be willing to take the stance that has all risk, no reward? Because if you take the chance and at least believing in
So you're just
something,
trying to give Pascal's wager, but the Pascal's wager only works if you hold to a particular religion. So you can't give Pascal's wager as a bare theist. Like this makes no sense whatsoever. There is no
no,
reward.
it does. It
No,
does
there
make
is
sense.
no reward or detriment under bare theism. So you would have to hold to some dogmatic religious tradition or some belief
That's not
system.
true.
Okay, so what's the
That's not
risk?
true.
What's the risk?
That the risk is that there is a God and that you're choosing to believe in nothing.
Yeah, what is the risk though? What's risky about that?
I see what you're saying. You're saying because you're not holding to a specific God, there's no punishment for not believing in the said God. I know what you mean,
Yeah,
but like why would you
you can't say that there's a risk unless there's a consequence for not believing. And I don't know how you could possibly get to a consequence for not
hmm,
believing unless you have some more
yeah.
beliefs than what you're pretending
Yeah.
to have. If you're
Yeah,
actually a
no,
Christian
that
and
that
you're
makes
lying
sense.
about not being a Christian, then what you're saying makes sense. If you're actually being honest about not being a Christian,
Yeah.
then what you're saying doesn't follow at all.
Yeah. No, that makes sense actually. No, that's a good point. No, I don't follow a religion. I'm not directly
Okay.
in chain. So,
So then what you're saying
um
makes no sense whatsoever. You have to explain to me what the risk is in not believing.
yeah. Yeah. So, well, hey, listen, I didn't come up here to have a scream match with you. I'm just
Yeah, because I'm screaming.
like getting emotional about
I
it.
know. I'm just so emotional. Everybody can tell I'm just, oh my God, I'm overcome by emotions. So is there a risk?
Yeah, I think there is a risk still
Cool.
because,
What's the risk?
well, so for instance, like me and you, like you don't believe that any God exists in any fashion, and I believe there's a possibility of a God. So if in the end there is a God, wouldn't you want to be on the side of the table that like you partially even thought it was possible? Like, because you don't know what's to come.
No, I want to
So
be on the
like,
side of the table where I'm a rational person who isn't gullible. Because what if atheismo exists and the only people who get a good afterlife are the people who weren't gullible, and all the people who were gullible, who believed in things that they didn't have justification to believe in, get ultra mega super hell that's 1,000 times worse than all
yeah,
the other hells combined? Well, you don't know if that's the
yeah,
case. That could, if it's possible that there's a God, then it's possible that that God is atheismo, and if it's possible that God is atheismo, and the punishment for believing under atheismo is a million
yeah, I get,
times worse than the punishment for
I get it.
for not believing under every other religion combined, well, then obviously I have much higher motivation to not believe because of the possibility of atheismo.
Yeah, yeah. Um, you could have said that in like one third the time, but
Right, you're right, and you pointing
I
that out definitely helps move the conversation along quickly. You're yeah, I applaud your
yeah, I literally,
consistency.
I was gonna tell you something, and I like you just talk so much, I literally
Mm-hmm.
slipped my mind.
Oh, I
Um,
know. I'm sure it was a really good
oh,
point too.
I remember. So you said like you're just being, yeah, you're definitely an emotional guy. So I was gonna say use the word rational. I think is funny because how is it rational to think that this world exists based off of nothing or not a creator? How's that
Okay, so you're
rational?
saying you don't have any argument or evidence for God?
No,
Because so far
let's
all you've
talk
had
about the
is
word rational.
so far all you've had is Pascal's wager, which makes no sense on the view you're pretending to hold right now. So do you have
Oh my
anything of
god.
substance?
You are a crybaby, man.
I
Is this
know.
what you
Oh
do
my
for
god,
content?
I'm just crying so much. Yeah. So do you have anything
You're
of
talking
substance, or
about
should I just move on?
rationality, right?
Do you have anything of substance? Any
Do,
argument or evidence for God?
yeah, I do. Like, you're talking about
Fantastic.
being
What's the
rational.
argument or evidence for God?
You just made a claim about being
Okay,
rational,
well, I'll give you
right?
one last opportunity. If you answer with
Define
anything
rational.
other than an argument or
Define
evidence for
rational.
God, I'm just going to drop you.
Define
What
rational.
would you
Yeah,
say
you
is a
can't.
good argument or evidence
Define
for God?
rational. Define rational.
Okay, fair enough. Thanks for showing everybody that you don't. I guarantee you that was a Christian pretending not to be Christian. Uh, pretending not to be Christian ran Pascal's wager like an idiot. Like, you can't come up here pretend to be a bear theist and then run Pascal's wager. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Good times. So, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Hi, Stray. How old are you?
Thank you. Good day. Can you hear me?
I can. How old are you?
Good day. Can you hear me? I'm 58.
Okay, that was obviously like a massive delay. Hi, Pro. How old are you?
Not gonna lie, Uncle, I slapped the shit out your bald headed ass. Ain't gonna lie.
Okay. Do you want to have a substantive conversation, or are you going to be a little baby?
You gonna fight me? I'll have the conversation if you fight me.
So this is all you got?
5 rounds, MMA.
You don't have anything of
Let's go.
substance? This is the
I
best.
will.
This is the
I'll
best you can
talk
do.
if you agree to fight me.
All right. Fair enough. Hi, Roger. How old are you?
I'm 32.
Cool. What God do you believe in?
I believe in the Judeo-Christian God,
Okay. I guess I'm not really sure what that means.
the God of the Bible, Yahweh.
Okay. Well, the Jewish God and the Christian God are incompatible, so I'm just wondering which one you actually believe in. It's not
Sure.
possible
So,
to
for
believe
the
in
sake
both.
of, yeah, I guess for the sake of what I would ask you is, you don't even have to give my God a name. You can
So I'm just
call him
asking
whatever
which
you want.
God you actually believe in. If you can't have
Yeah,
like an honest enough conversation to just answer that question, then clearly you're not capable of having a serious conversation about the topic. So
okay, I believe in the. Go ahead.
well, I was just going to say, if nothing else, the question is a test. And if you do this, what you're doing right now, it lets me know that you're going to be insufferable to talk to.
Hmm.
So just tell me what God you believe in.
A bit of a projection. So I already answered. Obviously, I believe
Oh,
in the
okay,
triune
fair
God
enough.
of
You know
Scripture.
what? Fair enough. If you just don't want to answer and, you'd rather play word games or whatever, that's fine. No problem. You just don't have to be here. That's the great thing about running my own live. I get to decide who's here and who is not. If you don't want to actually have the conversation, I'll do you a favor and let you go. All right. So if you are 18 plus, have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in God, feel free to come up. Just make sure that we actually have the conversation. That's all I'm really looking for. Hi, Ruler. How old are you?
I'm 25.
Cool. What God do you believe in?
I believe in the God who created this universe.
Yeah, I mean, that's just definitional, right? Everybody who believes in a God believes in the God that created the universe. Which one do you believe in?
The Christian God, the one that, you know,
Okay.
the
So what
Father
would you
of
say is the
Jesus.
best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in God?
I will give you an argument because as a true Christ follower, I will tell you on behalf of all of us, we have no evidence and no solid proof.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I agree. It's an irrational belief system. All right. Man, we're flying through people today. Nobody actually wants to have a substantive conversation. But yeah, I mean, if you come up and immediately say my position is irrational, then there's nothing to discuss, right? So funny. All right. Yeah, so if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and they have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in God. Hi, Leah.
Hi,
Hi, how old are you?
I am 31.
Okay. Do you believe in a God?
I believe in multiple. I practice Vodun, but I was wondering if you were open to a quick conversation.
I'm just doing debates on whether or not there's justification to believe in God. So if you don't, do you believe in like an immaterial mind that created and sustains the universe?
Something like that, but I just wanted to say, I read a study.
Okay. Clearly not actually a theist. I don't know what a blad fatty is. But yeah, just looking to talk to people who actually have some kind of argument or evidence. Oh, cripes. All right. So, yeah, I just ask if you are in the guest queue, that you are an adult, that you believe in a God, and you have some kind of argument or evidence that you can actually communicate. Hi, how old are you?
I'm
Oh,
21.
yeah, a child. That was a child. Hi, Alex. How old are you?
Hi, I'm 22.
Cool. What God do you believe in?
I don't really I don't know. Are you asking like what religion?
No. I'm asking the question that I actually asked. That was why I asked it, actually.
I guess
Okay, fair enough. Well, Hylian, you came up and said that you don't have any arguments or evidence for your position, and I'm saying if you're going to request, make sure you have some arguments or evidence. So, I mean, I guess I can bring you back up, but if you don't have an argument or evidence, then I'm just going to kick you again. What's the argument or evidence for God?
So I said I had an argument. I said
No,
that
you
we
said that
definitely-
you said you have no argument or evidence. That's why I kicked you. So now you're saying that you do have one. So just give it. I don't want any meta. We don't need any conversation about anything other than the argument or evidence for God. Go ahead.
Okay. So you don't believe God is real.
So we don't need to talk about what I believe, and I don't need you to tell me what you believe. I need you to just give me the argument or evidence that would conclude that it is rational to believe in God.
If you're trying to learn about something, you would hear the other side.
Okay, I'm
instead
going to
of
give
just
you one
believing
more
your own
opportunity.
side.
I'll give you one more opportunity. If you all you want to talk about is the meta, you want to talk about what you don't like about me, you want to talk about how I should do things, then you should find somewhere else to have that conversation, because I'm only interested in the conversation about whether or not there's reason to believe in God. So if you want to have that conversation, then I'll ask you for the next thing that you say to be relevant to that conversation. If it's something else, then I'm just going to move on again. So one last time, what would be a good argument or evidence that would give us reason to believe in God?
My argument would be, how is it more
That's a
believable?
question. That's a question. Give the argument.
Okay. It's easier and more intelligent to believe that something created the universe rather than it snapped from nothing.
Okay, no, that's a claim. You're supposed to be giving an argument. An argument is going to be like a series of points that all work together to necessitate the conclusion, therefore God exists. So you shouldn't stop talking until you get to the therefore God exists part.
If you're, if you've got such a way with this live, then you set the rules. You tell me why God's not real, and I'll rebuttal. I'm trying to give you stuff here, but you just keep rejecting people and shutting them down.
Yeah, because you're not giving an argument. So the reason that there can't be a God is that the definition of God entails contradictions, and contradictions don't exist. So if God has an internal contradiction, obviously he doesn't exist. An example would be that because God has a mind but also exists outside of time, that means that his mind can never change from one mental state to another. So this means that he only ever has one unchanging mental state. The problem with this is that acting on your will requires at least one change of mental states. You have to go from the mental state, I intend to act on my will to do X, to a subsequent mental state where you now have the mental state, I have completed my will to do X. But since God can't, his mental states can't change, he can't act on his will. If he can't act on his will, then he can't carry out anything willful. That means he can't create the universe. If he didn't create the universe, then he doesn't exist.
You make a very good, strong point, and my response to you is that us as humans, if we have a God and we try to define him, a God has no limits. He has nothing, no restraints that can hold him back. So even though he can see the future, doesn't mean he's controlling it. We still have free will.
I didn't say anything about free will. I didn't say anything about the future. Can you respond to the argument that I actually gave, please?
Repeat yourself then.
So you just weren't listening? You asked me for an argument so you could rebut it. I gave you the argument, and then you just didn't pay attention?
I mean, I don't know why you're being so hateful. I mean, we're just...
I'm not being hateful. I'm just confirming with you that that's what just happened. Am I correct? That's what just happened?
Sure. I mean, if, repeat your question.
My question is, what is your response to the argument that you asked me to give and that I supplied?
Yeah, no, I'm saying, what's your argument? What did you supply?
So the argument is that because God has knowledge, he has a mind. The fact that God is outside of time means that God can only ever have one unchanging mental state. If you only have one unchanging mental state, you cannot act on your will, because acting on your will requires a change of mental states. Since God isn't able to act on his will, that means that he's not able to create the universe. But if God exists, God did create the universe. Therefore, by the power of modus tollens, God does not exist.
So what do you mean by not being able to change your mental state, only having one track of a mental state? What do you mean by that?
So you know how when you have a thought, it involves a mental state where you aren't having the thought yet, a mental state, well, at least one mental state that contains the thought, and then a subsequent mental state where you have now finished thinking about that thing? Do you agree that that's your experience?
Yeah.
Yeah, God can't do that. God is outside of time, because if he's the creator of the universe, then he's the creator of time. If he's the creator of time, then he isn't inside time. So God, to be the creator of the universe, must be outside time. And if since change only occurs inside time, nothing can change about God. Nothing internal to God can change. Well, God's mental states would be internal to God. They're intrinsic to God. Therefore, since he cannot experience change in his state of existence, his mental states cannot ever change. So he can only ever have one mental state for all of existence.
Okay, so what does his one mental state have to do with him not existing?
I'm saying that because he only has one mental state, he cannot perform anything that he cannot do anything that would require multiple mental states. One of the things that requires multiple mental states is acting on your will. You know, like his will to create the universe. He would not be able
Yeah.
to act on his will to create the universe because he doesn't have the capacity for his mental state to change, which would be required if he was to act on his will.
Okay. Would you be able to tell me what his one mental state is? What's his main focus?
No, I'm just saying that he's defined in such a way where he cannot possibly exist. So obviously he doesn't actually have a mental state. It's called an internal critique. If we assume that your position, God existing, is correct, and then we say what entails, what follows from this position, we realize that what follows is that God can't possibly exist.
Okay.
So if
I would
A
say-
implies not A, then not A is true.
I agree 100% when you said that God cannot change and he will never change. He's always in one way. And I would say that one way is love. And his love is demonstrated through
Okay,
his
can you respond to
creation.
my argument, please?
Yeah, you said that God never changes. I agree with that.
Right, and so he doesn't exist.
Well, that doesn't mean he doesn't exist.
Yes, it does mean he doesn't exist. And if you think that there's a flaw in my argument, then tell me where the flaw is.
Well, first of all, you said that he has a flaw. You said that he has one mental state, so he can't change, but you can't tell me what that one state is.
All I'm saying is that he would need to be able to change his mental states in order to act on his will. He needs to be able to act on his will in order to create the universe. If he didn't create the universe, he doesn't exist. Therefore, because he would not be able to act on his will, he doesn't exist.
Yes.
So I need you to
that's-
actually respond to that line of reasoning, not to some other nonsense about love.
All right, that's that's the point I'm making. The fact
Well,
that
the point that I'm making is that God doesn't exist. You asked me for an argument. I've given you the argument like 5 times now, and you said you would rebut the argument. Please provide the rebuttal.
Okay. Everything God does is in love, and that's why
God can't
he
do
exists.
anything because that requires changing his mental states. His mental states cannot change. So God cannot do anything. If God can't do anything, he can't create the universe. If he can't create the universe, then he doesn't exist. You still
Who said
haven't
that
even
he-
attempted to respond to anything I'm saying.
Who said that he can't change his mind about something?
I did. I've said it a bunch of times.
You did. So you,
Mm-hmm.
the one who was created, is telling the creator how he can do his job.
Okay, so you're not going to respond to the argument?
No, you're just a one-sided wall who doesn't want to learn. I'm trying to tell you that the
I'm
God
trying
who
to get you
created
to
us-
tell me why I'm wrong, and you refuse to even try. So I'll give you one
Because-
last opportunity. If the next thing that you say is anything other than a direct response to the argument you asked me to give, I'm just going to move on.
I don't care. You've moved
Okay.
on from 20 people.
Fair enough. Begs to get let back up, only to not engage in the argument he asked me to give. Okay. Okay. So if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, make sure that you are 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Drinking Diet Coke? No, I'm not drinking Diet Coke. I'm drinking grape water. Okay. And then I also have fruit punch water, just so everybody's aware. When it switches from purple to red, that's what's happening. Well, I didn't want to say that, Lupine. That's not an authentic thing that I say, and I didn't want to say that like performatively or like as like a mocking people who actually say that kind of thing. Okay, if you are, I already said it, so let's make sure that hopefully the next person is a legit interlocutor. Hi, Solomon. How old are you?
Oh, I'm 40 years old.
Oh, okay. And what God do you believe in?
I believe in the God of Sigmund Freud.
Okay, I don't really. Oh, okay. Well, I was hoping to talk to people who actually want to have the conversation, not trolls. Hi, Zach. How old are you?
I'm 40.
Cool. Likewise. And what God do you believe in?
85.
Yeah, I was born right at the end of 85.
Yeah, December 13th.
Whoa, dude. You're still older than me, though.
Are you, so December, let me wait. 22nd.
Oh, close. No cigar.
Oh.
Even later.
Later?
Oh, yeah.
So you're like, are you a post-Christmas baby?
Uh-huh.
You're in that crazy time where people were just like literally coming up from hangovers.
My contention, genuinely, like legitimately, no jokes aside, I think that I have the worst birthday that it is possible to have on the calendar. I do not think that there is a worse day of the year that you could have a birthday. That's the next topic I'm going to debate.
Also, no offense, but you also missed being a Sagittarius and became a Capricorn.
Oh, well, I couldn't give a fuck less about that, so I'm fine there.
In those late days. You know what? Listen, what I love to think about is that
well, can you tell me what God you believe in, please?
Sure. I believe in a selection of gods.
Okay, so you're a polytheist?
Primarily. So I'm someone who believes that there is our creator, our individual creator, the thing that created our reality.
Okay, well, I'm just talking about a god, like a personal ultimate foundation to reality.
Listen, I was raised and am pretty well versed in the original OG Jewish God.
Okay, I mean, I'm not asking what you're
versed in. I'm a fan
or
of the First Testament. Here's what I think.
Okay, I'm just
really
trying to get some clarification on whether you believe in a thing that would qualify for the definition of God that I'm using, because otherwise what we're going to end up with is a semantic debate, and I'm not really interested in that.
Sure. So why don't you tell me what is your definition of God?
Yeah, like a personal ultimate foundation to reality.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So do you believe in Yahweh, or you just believe you're a theist?
I'm a theist.
Okay,
I think that they all sort of speak to the same thing.
Okay. And what would be one argument or evidence that would provide a reason to believe in a God?
That we are an incredibly complex, beautiful, awesome, truly awe-inspiring.
Well, you don't want to say that.
To behold.
Yeah, you don't want to say that, because any God. Well, no, because any God that has the ability to create this universe is obviously going to also be complex. And so if complexity requires a creator, then the God you're talking about requires a creator, which means it's not ultimate, which means it doesn't fit the definition that we both just agreed to for a God. So you don't want to say that it's complexity that shows that, the universe was created.
But I don't think that, but if you think that there being a ground of being means that we can't in any way care about who literally created us and call them God, I think that I would disagree with you on that.
Okay, but now again, we're just getting into the semantics that I told you I don't care about. I'm just asking whether or not there's a reason to actually believe in a God that fits the definition that I've given. Nothing that you've said so far addresses that. So I'll ask one last time. Do you have any argument or evidence that would give us a reason to believe in a personal, ultimate foundation to reality?
What does personal mean in this instance?
Like something with a mind, intentions.
So a personal foundation element. I do. I believe that.
Yeah, I'm no longer asking if you believe it. I'm asking for the argument or evidence that provides a reason to believe such a thing.
Oh, I think that it's the Occam's razor situation that we can...
Parsimony?
We can... What?
You're appealing to parsimony to add something to your worldview that is... it's a paradox. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. You're contradicting yourself.
No, I'm saying it's the most obvious. It is the most obvious sort of explanation for the existence of everything.
No.
That it was created by something personally.
No, that's not. Number one, that's not obvious. And number two, that has nothing to do with Occam's razor. So, it just sounds like you're really confused.
Occam's razor being that the simplest answer, which is that this was created by something.
No, that's not
just a random.
What Occam's razor means is that you shouldn't multiply entities without necessity. So if you were actually trying to apply Occam's razor, what you'd be saying is, I'm trying to explain the universe, and I'm not going to add any extra entities to my explanation until such time that I'm justified to add an extra entity. So what I'm asking for is the justification to add God as an extra entity to the explanation for the existence of the universe.
That creating and creators and forces of creation are a constant in our reality.
Yeah, that's the claim. I'm asking for the reason to believe in that. I don't want you to just restate the claim.
Assume that the reality in which everything is in some way created is a not some way created.
Okay, so it sounds
That
like you're
is
just
adding
not
an
going to
additional
engage.
instance.
It just sounds like you're not even going to try.
I'm not sure what an engagement would look like other than
Yeah, so engagement would look something like saying the argument or evidence that provides justification to believe that there is a personal ultimate foundation to reality is, and then you would give the argument or evidence. You wouldn't just, falsely appeal to a principle that you don't understand. You wouldn't claim that it's obvious. You wouldn't say any of the nonsense that you're saying. You would actually give some kind of argument or evidence instead of just trying to like throw up your hands and say, well, it just has to be that way. Like if I just said that there isn't a God, if I just said there isn't there isn't a God because it's the most obvious explanation for things, you certainly wouldn't find that satisfying, and you certainly wouldn't find that compelling to change your position to believing in no gods. Similarly, you just saying, "Oh, I think it's the most obvious explanation," is of course not going to be compelling to anyone who doesn't already agree with you. So I'm going to give you one last opportunity, Zach. What would be some kind of argument or evidence that would provide a reason to believe in a God?
Our reality, as far as we can tell from quantum physics and from now our understanding of AI and computation, to be a computational reality that isn't locally dependent. And so that indicates that there was some code in the creation of the reality that we perceive. And that code indicates a creator. And so again,
how did you confirm the existence of this code?
God. What was that?
How did you confirm the existence of this code? Or if you didn't do it and you're relying on some scientific finding, where can I research this?
Sure. I mean, you can look how they found the equations for that we use in the creation of browsers, in our literal code in the stars. Like there is.
No, I'm asking for some demonstration, not just the claim again.
Okay. Double slit experiment.
Well, that doesn't have anything to do with the code.
I think the 2025 Nobel Prize in Physics was that locality isn't real.
Okay, and what part of the paper or the research that won that prize concluded that there's a God?
It doesn't conclude that there's a God.
So you're just drawing extra conclusions.
You ask for evidence in the direction of. If what you're saying,
so if you're going to appeal to science, Zach,
excuse me.
Hey, Zach, calm down.
Elementary, don't you think?
Calm down. If you're going to appeal to science, then the science has to draw the conclusion that you're appealing to it to draw, right? So you can't just say science supports this position and then say that the people who know the most about that science don't draw the same conclusion as you. You would have to have some kind of credentials that it puts you at least on par with those people that did that research that disagree with you, that would give you justification, the authority to say that you know as much or more about the topic than they do, and therefore you're justified in drawing different conclusions than them. Are you a physicist?
Are you a physicist?
Of course not. Are you a physicist?
Okay, I'm not a physicist.
Okay, fantastic. Since neither of us are physicists, I don't think that we should be trying to rewrite anybody's physics papers.
So
since neither of us is going to rewrite any physics papers, what would be some argument or evidence for God?
Okay, well, just because you and I aren't physicists doesn't mean we can't use physics. Like, I don't have to be a physicist to understand physics. You know that, right?
I didn't say anything like that. It sounds like you're maybe just not listening to anything I'm saying, which honestly,
but you were disqualifying the use of science in the argument.
Yeah, no, I'm a physicist. No, what I'm disqualifying is the use of cherry picking in science. That's what I'm disqualifying. If you're going to use science, then you have to appeal to the conclusions drawn by the scientists involved in the science. If you're going to try to appeal to the research or to some paper, but you're going to, jettison the conclusion drawn by the people who know the most about it, then obviously, unless you have the credentials to support doing such a thing, I'm not going to take your word for it. I have no reason to believe you over the physicists who actually did the research that you're appealing to. Now, I'm not saying that every time a physicist has said something, it's always been 100% correct. Obviously, that wouldn't be the case. However, I certainly am not going to trust you on physics over physicists. So again, knowing that you don't have the credentials to do the thing that you're trying to do you have anything else of substance?
Okay, so to be clear, I taught innovation at Parsons.
Okay, so I'm taking that as a no, and I'm just going to move on then. Just completely unable to engage. All right. So if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, make sure that you're 18 plus and have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. What do I even say about that? Oh, shit. Typing in the wrong place. Okay. All right. So, yeah, once again, if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure you're an adult and that you have some non-personal experience, argument, or evidence for God.
Hello.
Hi, Caleb. How old are you?
About to turn 19 soon, in a couple days, actually.
Okay. And what God do you believe in?
I believe in Jesus. And I just want to start off as I struggle with my faith every day. And I honestly don't know what to believe, if there is a God or isn't a God. And the only thing that keeps me pushing towards believing in God is the fact that you can agree with me that everything that is in this universe has a beginning, right?
No.
Why would you say that?
I don't have reason to believe that.
That nothing in this universe has a beginning. You have a beginning, correct?
No, you said everything in this universe has a beginning. I don't have justification for that position. I could say that, you know, if we're granting like mereological composition, then I can say that in that sense, objects come into existence, and we could say that I began to exist. Sure, I'm fine with that. But what I'm saying is that you made a much stronger claim that I disagreed with.
Yeah. So what I'm basically saying is that what I believe is that everything that we stand on had a start, had some way of coming about. And yes, we all don't know the answer to that. But I believe when there is a beginning, there is a creator. Just like as we are born, we have our parents, and then our parents came from before, and just the same way with planets, universes, and all of that. They all have ways of coming about.
Yeah, but just because they have ways of coming about, like let's talk about, you know, the sun, for example. I would say that the sun's existence has a finite past. It came into existence at some point. But that doesn't give me any reason to think that it was created in any meaningful sense. As far as I can tell, it was just a result of gravity acting on matter in space. So I don't understand why we would think that there was any kind of intelligence involved in the creation of things that we know began to exist, or in the bringing into existence of things that we know began to exist. And I certainly don't see any reason why, when the only kind of beginning to exist that we're aware of is stuff that already existed being used to make other stuff that begins to exist, I have no idea why we would draw from that a conclusion about the universe beginning to exist, which would be a completely different kind of beginning to exist. That would not be stuff that already existed being rearranged into making a new object. The universe coming into existence would be stuff that doesn't exist becoming stuff that does exist. Right? So you have to show how stuff that didn't exist can begin existing, like, you know, ex nihilo, from nothing. Whereas the kind of beginning to exist that I would agree to has nothing like that. So you are the one now that has to demonstrate that something can come from nothing.
See, that's a hard claim right there.
Yeah, I know. That's why Christians and most theists like to run around saying, well, you can't be an atheist because something can't come from nothing. But in reality, typically the only people that I know of that say that have positions that commit them to the position that something comes from nothing are people who believe in God, like yourself. Like, obviously, you would have to say that the universe came out of non-existence, came out of nothing.
Well, how I see it is the theory that like everyone talks about is the Big Bang. And
yeah, that has nothing to do with the universe beginning, though. We're talking about the universe beginning.
Yeah.
The Big Bang is just
one thing. There's a whole lot of unknowns.
Yeah, there are a lot of unknowns, but you're saying that there aren't unknowns, that you do know, that you do have a reason to think that the universe began.
Well, this is what I'm saying, is that it is known that everything that we have in our books has a creator, right?
Nope.
Well,
absolutely not.
Yes.
The sun doesn't have a creator. The earth doesn't have a creator. Trees don't have creators.
The sun The suns, other suns are its creator, right?
Nope.
Just like
No.
the Earth came from other planets.
Nope. The Earth wasn't created by other planets. The sun wasn't created by other stars. The closest you could get is to say that the sun was created by gravity, but I would still say that's a misuse of the word created.
Well, it's a whole bunch of clumps clumping together to
Right.
make a planet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just like
That's
that,
not
those
being that's
clumps
not being created in
right?
any meaningful sense.
And those rocks came from another planet. Is like what I'm trying to say is that everything came from something, right? Right or wrong?
Again, inside the universe, yes. But if the universe came into existence, if the universe began to exist, that is something coming from nothing. So you have to explain how something can come from nothing.
Well, in all of our books, God is our explanation for something from coming from nothing.
Okay, so what is the mechanism that God uses to bring something out of nothing? Because otherwise you're just going to say, I don't know, and now you have more unknowns than I do. You have a bigger unknown than I do.
Well, I would like to hear how you think we came about.
Okay, so you're saying that you also don't have a reason to think that God was able to create the universe?
Well, I'm just saying that it's just unknown. Like,
yeah, I agree. I would agree. I would agree under your view that if the universe began to exist, then it's unknown how it began to exist. But if you're agreeing that it's unknown, then you cannot claim that God is involved in the explanation. That would be a known, not an unknown. So you can't have it both ways here, Caleb. Either it's an unknown or you are aware that God was involved. Which position do you want to take?
Well, I'm sure nobody that is alive at this moment could be aware of God's creation.
Okay, so you're saying that you do not believe God created the universe, right?
No, I do believe he did.
Oh, what's the reason to believe that? Because as far as I can tell, there isn't a reason to believe that. And as far as I can tell, you've said that you don't have a reason to believe that.
It's honestly faith. It's the fact that...
Right, so you don't have a reason to believe it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so I think that that's a very bad thing to do. I would go so far as to say that's an immoral thing to do. Because as soon as you allow beliefs into your belief system that you don't have a reason to believe, then you have no idea what other beliefs that you don't have reasons to believe will sneak in, either independently or on the back of the belief that you already accepted without a reason to believe in it. And then anything that you do, any action that you take as a result of these beliefs that you don't have a reason to believe, any harm that you cause, you are morally responsible for, and you have no way of preventing that from happening because you don't know if you're going to end up being convinced to believe that something is morally good when it's actually morally bad on the basis of something that you don't have a reason to believe in, and then you would be responsible for your immoral actions and your immoral beliefs because you allowed irrational beliefs into your belief system. So from my perspective, it's immoral to believe things without reason. Now, what was the question that you're asking me? You asked me how I think things came into existence. I don't think there's any reason to believe that the universe came into existence. As far as like the sun, the earth, I would say that the vast majority of how those came into existence we could chalk up to gravity. There's probably some more nuance there, but I'm certainly not a cosmologist.
Yeah, I mean, you have me here because I struggle, like, as I said, I struggle with faith, and that's really the only thing that has me, like...
Well, here's what I'll ask you to think about, Caleb. Just think about how many things other people convince themselves of based on faith that are wrong. Then think about, is there anything that you couldn't take on faith? Like, is there any position that you couldn't believe and then just say, well, I believe it on faith? So I'm going to ask you to think about those things. And my recommendation, my prediction is going to be that you're going to come up with a lot of things that other people believe on faith that you think are wrong. My prediction is that you're not going to be able to come up with any position that is impossible to hold on faith. And then hopefully you'll that exercise of coming to those conclusions, hopefully you'll see that faith doesn't actually provide justification. It's not a reason to believe in anything, and therefore, if you want to believe in things for good reasons, faith shouldn't be involved in the process of determining what you believe. Is there anything else particularly that you want to discuss, or otherwise I'm going to probably move on?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I have grown up in like church and all that, and I have seen that like I don't want to say this because I don't know how this like reacts towards me, but like I feel as though like churches are a scam.
Yeah,
and
they're obviously a scam. Obviously. Like, the whole point is to get people to show up and donate money for nothing. Just to, like, tell you stories. Well, if I want to go somewhere to be told a story and I have to pay money for it, I'm just going to go to the movies.
I see the fakeness in it, and it's just the one thing that holds me on to believing in a God, not just one God. I just say Jesus because he's a God, and that's what I grew up with. I'm saying it's hard to not believe in a God because there's so much unknown that is unexplainable that can only be explained by having a creator.
Well, no. We talked about this before, Caleb. There are unanswered questions. But just saying this question is unanswered, therefore I'm going to posit an answer, is not a reasonable position. Right? Now, and this is another thing I'm going to ask you to think about. Which person is more likely to get to the correct conclusion? Person A, who has made an assumption about what the answer is, regardless of what evidence they do or don't have, and refuses to listen to any evidence that goes against the conclusion that they've already drawn? Or would person B be more likely to find out the truth, who refuses to draw a conclusion until they have sufficient evidence to support that conclusion, and then even after drawing that conclusion, still watches for evidence or reasons to drop that position and take a new one? You don't have to give me an answer now, but I want you to think about the things I said about faith, and I'd love for you to think about that idea of who is more likely to end up at the right place between those two options. But I appreciate the conversation. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next person, okay?
Have a good one.
Take care. All right. I mean, at least just being honest and engaging. That's certainly not something that I can say for a lot of the people that come up here. Okay, so if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you are 18 plus. You have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Okay. Just wanted to get my notes down. Oh, I should probably check this. Interesting. Okay. All right. I'll bring up the next person. Hi, Holden. How old are you?
21.
Okay. Do you believe in a God?
I do.
Cool. Which God do you believe in?
Jesus Christ.
Fantastic. What would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
Okay. All right. Let me start off by asking you this. Do you believe that George Washington was the first president of the United States?
Okay, so we're not doing 20 questions. You're supposed to be giving some
No,
argument
it's
or
not.
evidence.
It's not. This is gonna.
Okay.
This is.
So
This is
just
argument.
provide the argument then.
Okay, so you believe that George Washington was the president. Where do you find that information?
Okay, so again, we're not doing questions. You're supposed to just be giving the argument. So whatever you're saying, whatever script you have with the questions, just throw it out. Just give the argument, and then you don't stop giving the argument until you've reached therefore God exists.
Okay, so all I'm saying is, for you to believe in all of the history that is taught in schools and everywhere around the world, you have to believe in something you weren't there for. The same way you would have to believe that Jesus Christ was here and that God was his Father, was the creator of everything. Okay? If you believe that murder is wrong, which
so now you're just going to go to a completely different argument?
Yeah. I mean, if you
like,
want to, like,
I just want one piece of evidence or one argument that would give a reason to believe in God. It sounds like what you're trying to say is you think that I believe things or you think that I have like a different standard of evidence for some historical claims than I do for Christian historical claims. Is that what you're trying to get to?
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead with that. Yeah.
Okay, so there are historical things that I believe, but there are also a lot of historical claims that I don't believe. Like, for example, I don't believe that Muhammad split the moon, as Obelisk was kind enough to point out on YouTube. Now, that's claimed, and the person who claimed that is a person that I think actually existed, but that doesn't mean that I think that it actually happened. I don't believe that Muhammad actually got revelation from an angel. I don't think that Joseph Smith actually found golden tablets in his backyard that were written in reformed Egyptian that he translated into the Book of Mormon. I don't think that, Jim Jones had any ultimate, divine authority to bring all of his followers to South America and convince them to murder themselves or to kill themselves for him. Like, there are lots of things, historical things that I believe happened that I wasn't there for, but none of those things that I believe in are supernatural. So it's the exact same with Christianity. There are claims associated with Christianity that are historical, and I'm fine accepting, but none of the supernatural ones, because we don't see any reason. I haven't seen any reason to believe in the supernatural claims. So that's what I would need you to provide evidence for, or some kind of argument. Why should we believe in the supernatural claims, not just the mundane historical claims?
I guess you understand what you're saying. Okay, so I would say pretty much everybody that on this planet has morals. So
okay, so you just want to give the moral argument now?
What's wrong? What's your argument against the moral?
Yeah, just to make sure that we're talking about the same argument. You're basically saying that if objective morals exist, then God exists. Objective morals exist, therefore God exists.
I guess you kind of summarize what I'm saying there.
Yeah, you're saying that we know that if objective morals exist, that means God must exist. And you're saying that there are objective morals, so that means there must be a God.
Right. So if you
I'm going to say that that's a self-defeating argument.
Okay, so if you're a person and you know that it's wrong to kill, what makes you think it's wrong to kill is what I'm getting at. Like, what makes a person say it's wrong to kill? Where does that come from?
Well, for most people, it just comes from their intuition.
Okay, so where does their intuition come from?
Our genetics, our DNA, our social conditioning.
Okay, so genetics and DNA all come into play with it as well. If you have a set of morals and you believe it's wrong to kill somebody, nobody's going to go outside and kill their neighbor unless they're a psycho.
Okay, but how is this getting us to God? If you're trying to give the moral argument that there are objective morals and that proves that God exists, that's fine. We can discuss that. But I just need to know what argument you're actually giving for God here.
That's the argument. Like, if you have...
Well, that's a self-defeating argument. It's a self-defeating argument.
Explain to me how.
Yeah, because if I was to ask you to support your premises in order to make sure that this is a sound argument, and any support that you give for the second premise, the premise that objective morals exist, is going to ruin the argument, because there are only two ways to support that claim. You can show that objective morals exist without referring to God, which would prove that the other premise that, objective morals can only exist if God exists, that would prove that wrong, right? Because if you show objective morality without referring to God, then you've shown that objective morals can exist without God. So then what you would have to do is show that objective morals exist with reference to God. The problem is, as soon as you refer to God in your demonstration for the reason to believe in objective morals, you've made the argument circular. Because the original argument is God exists because objective morals exist. But then if in order to show objective morals exist, you have to say objective morals exist because God exists, that means that the argument is now God exists because God exists. And I don't think that saying God exists because God exists is any better than me saying God doesn't exist because God doesn't exist. And if that's not a good argument, neither is yours. And I just don't think there's anywhere to go from there.
Okay, so let me get to this then. I see exactly what you're saying, but if it just doesn't make sense that you can believe, to me, it doesn't make sense that you can just trust yourself over trusting something that's much more superior than us.
Something that doesn't exist. It's an imaginary friend, Holden. Of course I trust myself more than my imaginary friend. Because at the end of the day, my imaginary friend is just me with certain parts of me stripped away. So yeah, obviously I'm going to trust my whole self and the entirety of my rational mind over the imaginary friend that I created that doesn't have the entirety of my rational mind.
So you think you're just here for 80 years to just trust yourself and then die and then it's over?
Obviously, after death, it's over, right? Like our consciousness.
You're not on Earth anymore. Where were you at before you were born?
Nowhere. I didn't exist. And after I
Okay.
die, I will go back to not existing. So the universe,
So it's
from
just
my
gonna not be
perspective,
there.
from my perspective, the current instantiation of the the observable universe is the history of it will be something like billions and billions of years of me not existing, a tiny little blip of me existing, and then billions and billions of years of me not existing. So if anything, that tiny little blip of me existing is when things are weird, and it'll go back to being normal after I don't exist anymore. That would be my perspective. It's weird that I exist at all, and eventually that weirdness will go away. But I don't see any reason to think that there's a God involved in any of it. And that's what we're supposed to be discussing here. Now, I understand that from your perspective, having been told that the only thing that makes your life meaningful is a God, you're going to then have the position that without a God, life is meaningless. But that's not the position of people who don't believe in God. I think that my life would be meaningless if there was a God. Because if there's a God, then especially the Christian God, then presumably my meaning, my purpose is given to me by God. From my perspective, the only things that have their purpose given to them are tools, objects. You give a hammer its purpose. You give a nail its purpose. You give a spirit level its purpose. You give a house its purpose. You give your car its purpose. You don't give agents purpose. You don't give people purpose. If anyone else gives me my purpose, if that's where it comes from, is some other person, some other being, then I'm just a tool for their plans, for their game, their whatever. But if I am an agent and I am self-directed and I can choose a purpose for myself, then my life is meaningful.
Okay. So why do men and women why would men and women want to be together if there isn't if a man and a woman want to have sex and have kids and create generations? Why would we want to do that if there was no reason behind it? If we're just giving
There is a
birth to
reason
it,
behind it, obviously.
What? To die for nothing?
No, because we have an internal drive to survive that was bred into us over billions of years of evolution.
So you think that a man and a woman want to have sex to have a kid that's just going to grow and live on a trash planet and then die and then it's over with again? That's your argument? There's no reasoning behind any of that? You think you just live here and if everybody just lived
Well, it sounds
here,
like you're
nobody
just not
cares?
paying attention to anything that I'm saying. So I'm just going to go ahead and move on. I don't think you actually have
Why?
anything else of
Why?
substance to say. So just not going to listen to me. All right. So again, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in God. Yeah, you can go anytime, Cam. Nobody's keeping you here. Before I bring up the next guest, goddamn. Thanks everybody for the support. Holy shit. Bradley N, Alan, Poopman Jones, KC, Angry Neeson, hey. Goblin Brain, Big Time. Wait, what is this? Oh, Big Time Sports Cards. I knew that. Susie, Iacobina, Saintly, Lupine. Fucking love the Pompadour. Am the Detonated, I guess. That is. Oh shit. La Cobra, Midnight Zoomies, Life's a Glitch. It's Bradley Cooper. Thank you all so fucking much. Jesus Christ, there's so many. Lem, Casey, everybody, thank you. Poopman Jones, I love you. You guys are fucking awesome. Thank you for the support, sincerely. Okay, we'll move on to the next person. Oh, okay. Let me see here. Interesting. Hey, love the kitten eating. That's awesome. Okay. Where am I at? What am I doing? All right. We're gonna bring up the next guest. Okay. No, not coming up. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Hi, Andrew. How old are you? Okay. I understand, Cam, but I'm going in order. Hi, Pevergol. How old are you?
I'm 20.
I'm sorry?
I'm 20.
Okay. Do you believe in a God?
I believe there is a God.
Okay. Which God do you believe in?
I believe in Jesus Christ.
Fantastic. Oh, shit. my followers, 3666. Look, it says 666 while I'm talking to a Christian. Look at that. It's a message from no God. Okay. What would you say is the best argument or evidence that would give us rational justification to believe in a God?
I mean, I think the universe began to exist. So therefore, if it began to exist, then it had a cause for the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And like our universe also began to exist just like other universes.
How do you know that other universes began to exist?
Because science says that when the Big Bang happened, when the star is created,
Nope.
millions and millions of years, it dies out.
The Big Bang didn't create stars, and the Big Bang also has nothing to do with the universe beginning to exist. So, I mean, we're kind of like batting zero right now.
I mean, how is that not? The Big Bang is literally in science.
Yeah, the Big Bang is the scientific explanation for the expansion of the universe from a hot, dense state. It has nothing to do with the universe beginning to exist. So if you think that the universe began to exist, I'm just looking for the reason to believe that.
Okay, think about it. When a Big Bang happened, therefore, what did it create? Universes.
No, we don't know anything about. We don't know anything about whether the universe came into existence with the Big Bang. The Big Bang does not give us a reason to think that the universe came into existence. So what is the reason to think that the universe came into existence?
I just told you. It began to exist like a star.
Yeah, your claim is that the universe began to exist. What is the evidence that the universe began to exist?
What is my claims?
No, that is your claim. I'm asking for the evidence, not the claim.
The evidence of it begin to exist.
Yep.
I mean, the universe is like perfectly balanced. That's not like unlikely to happen randomly.
So what's the evidence that the universe began to exist?
What is the what?
Okay. All right. Well, you're either a troll or doing your very best and still failing. So we're going to go ahead and move on. I agree, Tsunami. That was not going anywhere. All right. So if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Hi, Cam. How old are you?
Hey there, I'm 19 years old.
Do you believe in a God?
Yes, sir, I do.
Cool. Which God do you believe in?
Jesus Christ.
Okay.
God himself, Holy Spirit.
And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
Okay, I would like to start off with your last guest was saying.
Just give your own argument, please. Are you just saying you want to give the Kalam?
No, I do have my own argument.
Okay, so what is the argument that you're presenting?
I'm presenting the argument that God does exist.
Yeah, what's the argument that concludes God exists?
Okay, so the way that the universe is set up, think about this. If anything, the smallest thing was out of order, this whole world would be messed up. What are the chances? I'm just going to be honest with you. Just out of this world being created, what are the chances that the smallest thing being messed up, we wouldn't even be able to live on this earth? Like, this would be impossible.
I have no idea. How did you determine the chances that things would be this way?
Okay, so I'm saying, do you think
so how did you determine the likelihood of things being this way?
I'm sorry, one more time. You cut out.
How did you determine the likelihood of things being this way? You're saying it's unlikely for things to be this way without God. How did you determine that?
I feel like there's literally just no way to know, but like...
Okay, if there's no way to know whether or not it's likely, then you can't use the fact that it's unlikely as a point in your argument. So do you have something else?
Yes, it's a belief, just like you
Okay,
believe
so you
in
don't
God.
have a
You're
reason
believing
to
in
believe
nothing.
it,
Here's
right?
my thing. But listen,
So do you
this is
have
my
a
thing. You're
reason to
believing
believe in
in
God?
nothing. Yes, I have a reason.
Okay,
It's
fantastic.
the
What's the
only thing that
reason?
makes sense.
No,
It's
you
the
no.
only thing that literally
If it's
makes
the only
sense.
thing that makes sense,
But
then you can give the argument that supports that conclusion.
okay, well, I'll go into my next point then. Think about this too. So the world, okay, the Big Bang Theory was expansion, right? The expansion of the Earth. It started from a star, right?
Not the Earth.
It was expansion,
No,
wasn't
no, it doesn't. It was
it?
not a
I mean,
star.
a star, expansion.
No. It's just no. Every part of that, no.
So, okay, explain to me what the Big Bang Theory was then.
Yeah, the Big Bang just says that the universe was in a hot, dense state, and then it started expanding. And I mean, there's more detail
Okay.
about like there were hundreds of thousands of years where even light couldn't exist. So like there's a lot of stuff involved in it. But essentially, the Big Bang just says, at one point the universe was condensed into a hot, dense state, and then it began expanding.
Okay, that's great. So, why do you think? Okay, I'm sorry, but why do you think you're here? Like, how do you think you were created?
Well, I don't like to think about it very much, but if you're forcing me to, my parents boned. And then my mom got pregnant, and roughly 9 months later, around Christmas time 1985, she popped me out.
Okay, that's cool, but you don't think there was nothing before that? You don't think you
Oh,
had...
yeah. Before that, my dad's parents had a very similar experience, and my
No.
mom's parents also had a very similar experience. But that was about somewhere between 20 and 30 years before I was born.
Okay, that's cool. Well, think back before all of that.
Okay, so then
humans.
before
How
that,
were
my
the humans?
my dad's dad, his parents had a
No,
similar
no,
experience,
you don't have to
and
be-
his mom,
you don't
and
have
then
to
my
be a
dad's
smartass.
mom, her parents had a similar experience, and then my mom's dad, his parents had a similar experience, and then my mom's mom, her parents also had a similar experience.
Okay, that's cool. Well, before humans, how do you think humans were created?
Okay, so there were other apes, and they boned, and then they popped out new apes, and depending on how you want to draw the line, at some point, a population of non-human apes evolved into a population of human apes.
So you think we originated from monkeys?
I know that we
so-
are apes.
We are not apes, bro.
Yes, we are apes. Yep. In the same way, lions, tigers, and house cats are all feline, us, chimpanzees, and gorillas are all apes. It's the same thing.
If we were literally all just apes.
Yes,
in
you
my
and I,
opinion, okay, there are still
Cam,
several apes on
Cam,
this earth. There are
Cam,
still...
Cam, you and I are literally apes. Like, I'm not saying
We
that
are
metaphorically.
apes.
I'm not saying it figuratively. I'm not saying it as like an example of something. I'm not trying to make a point. I'm telling you something that is just like 2 + 2 is 4. Just like that's true. It's true that you and I are apes. It's just the definition of what a human is. A human is a kind of ape. Just like a house cat is a kind of feline. And a Rottweiler is a kind of canine. We are a kind of ape.
A Rottweiler acts like any other dog. We don't literally act like apes. Like literally, we're way
You're telling
more
me that
evolved than
Rottweilers and wolves and other canines all act exactly the same?
No, of course they have.
Okay,
different
yeah, they're
instincts
different,
and stuff
right?
like that,
Exactly.
but
Yeah,
we're
different
way more
species,
evolved. We're literally
different.
way more involved.
We're not
Can an
more
ape-
evolved. We're just differently
Can an
evolved.
ape literally operate? Can an ape operate on another ape with heart failure?
Yes,
No.
yes.
A human. Okay,
Yes.
How?
Yeah, every
Where's
single
the proof
time a
on that?
heart surgeon operates on a patient, that's an ape operating on another ape.
No, be
Yes.
literal. Okay, well,
I'm
let's say
being
an ape.
literal.
Okay,
I'm
if
being
you go-
literal.
If you go to the jungle, right? If you were in the jungle right now, right? and you
Oh,
see two
okay.
apes,
So
an ape
so
with
we're
heart
way
failure,
off topic now,
you're gonna-
Cam. Just because you don't know anything about science or evolution doesn't mean that we're going to just continue down this rabbit trail. What is the reason to believe in God?
Because there was literally existence of humans at all, and you just believe that out
So
of
what is
nowhere,
the
like,
reason
out
why
of
we should
nowhere,
think that God
everything-
exists based on humans existing? What's the connection?
Because there's no way for this universe to line up literally just as even
That's the claim again. That's the claim again. You're saying it has to be this way because it has to be this way. I'm asking, other than just saying it must be this way, what is the reason that it must be this way?
Because your reason makes no sense. That's another reason.
That's
Like,
another
literally,
claim.
like-
You're saying that it has to be this way because the way I think it is doesn't work. But that's just the same claim again. You're saying it has to be this way because it has to be this way and it can't be another way. I need you to support that claim, not just keep stating it over and over again.
You believe after you die, you're just going to
Okay, so now all you're doing is just this incredulity. Like, oh, I can't believe you believe things that are different than what I believe.
You were doing the same thing.
No,
You
you're
saying,
just giving an
my
argument from
parents,
incredulity.
My parents.
You're just
Okay,
giving
but
an
I'm just
argument from
saying-
incredulity, Cam. All you're doing is saying, I can't imagine that your position is correct, therefore my position is correct. That's not an argument. That's not a reason. So do you have anything, or should I just move on?
God bless you, brother.
All right, go fuck yourself. Say that shit to me. All right. All right. So if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Sometimes the comments are hilarious. I'm not really a tree climber, Obelisk. Maybe I was missing out. I don't know. Hi, Butterball. How old are you?
Oh, shit, I join this?
Yeah. If you don't want to be here, that's fine.
Nah, I'll just watch. My bad, man.
All right, take care of yourself. Hi, Dan. How old are you?
39, July 10th.
86?
87.
Wait, 87. Oh, because you just had a birthday. Got it.
Just
So,
turned 39.
holy... Oh, no, wait. I was going to say that you're almost exactly the same age as one of my sisters, but she was born a completely different year. Anyway, that's not how birthdays work. I don't know if you were aware of that, but...
Yeah, no, to be fair, I thought I was turning 40. And
Oh.
then I had to do the math, like, literally. I'm like, oh, shit.
Well,
That was an easy one to get wrong.
Yeah, I'm going to be
Anyway.
41 this year, so I'm staring down the barrel of 50 already. It feels like. Okay, so what God do you believe in, Dan?
That's a tough question. I do believe that there is a God.
Sure. It doesn't necessarily have to be associated with religion, but you believe that there is like a mind that created and sustains the universe. That
Honestly,
kind
I think we're all God.
Oh.
That's my
Sure.
position.
I mean, I believe that you and I exist, but I certainly don't believe that you and I are gods. So, I mean, is it just a semantic thing, or is there something of substance that's worth talking about?
Well, so I think you're by the way, this has been really, really fun to watch. You debate people, but what I feel like you're doing is pulling people into an art museum and having them look at a piece of
Okay,
art.
well, I'm not really here for
and be
like the meta or any like tone policing or anything like
Well,
that, but it doesn't sound like you really have any
how-
argument or evidence for God, so I'm just going to go ahead and move on. Okay. Oh, hey, that's cool as shit. I have like a pinata? Little pinata on my head. That was fun. Correct, Midnight Zoomies. I said nope. I'm not interested. In the Yap Fest. Yap Fest 2026. All right. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and they have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. I think it's so funny when people are in the comments begging to come up, but they haven't even requested. Like, how can I let you up if you didn't even request?
Yo.
Hi, D. How old are you?
I'm 22.
Do you believe in a God?
Yes.
Okay, and which God do you believe in?
The Most High God, the God of the Bible.
Okay, I assume you mean the Christian Bible?
Yeah.
Cool. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would give us a rational justification to believe in God?
The best argument or evidence is to look at ourselves. That's my best argument, in my opinion. Look at the way we create things.
Well, unfortunately for my eyeballs, I have looked at myself before, but I was not able to conclude from that there's a God. So what am I missing?
The fact that, okay, if we look in the Bible, it says man is created in the image of God. The fact that we're the only creature.
Okay,
on
but
this
that's just
planet.
assuming that you're just begging the question now. You're saying because God exists and God wrote the Bible, therefore we can draw the conclusion that God exists and wrote the Bible based on what the Bible says. But yeah, I mean that's just assuming the conclusion in order to support the conclusion. I'm asking for an argument that doesn't do that, please.
Okay, let's look outside of the Bible. For example, the fact that we are the only creatures into where we actually have intelligence enough that not just merely.
I don't know how this matters, D. I don't understand how this matters.
My point is, if you look at the way we create video games and we can create simulations, do you not think that every creation has a creator?
Yeah, trivially, anything that's created has a creator. Why should we think that the universe was created?
Just the way it's all made. Like
okay, but I've looked at just the way that it's all made, and I've concluded that there is no God. So I don't want you to just make the claim that there's a God. I want you to provide the reasoning that gets you there.
Well, if you look at the human race, when you think about, okay, let's say, for example, there's 8 billion people on this planet. And if you look back and back and back and back and back and back, we all have to trace from at least a source. Because there's no way there was, if it was 7 billion over millions and millions of years.
Why should we think the universe was created? You're not addressing that.
Because if you look at the Big Bang Theory,
the Big Bang has nothing to do with the beginning of the universe. The Big Bang just has to do with the universe expanding from a hot, dense state. Why should we think that the universe was created?
Why do we think? Because everything just aligns in order. The fact this planet is the only planet in the solar system.
Okay, so you just keep making the claim, D. If you just make the claim again, I'm just gonna move on. So without making the claim again, what is the demonstration that the claim is correct?
What was that thing about? Mitochondrial Eve, and we all come from one.
Okay, well, nothing in evolution has anything to do with why we should think the universe was created. So one last opportunity. Why should we think the universe was created?
The universe? Okay, the universe. To be honest, I just think that the universe is created because everything just aligns perfectly.
Yeah, that's just the claim again. And I said if you just said the claim again, I'd move on, so we're moving on. Well, I think that my claim is true because I think my claim is true. Well, like, fantastic. I mean, it's not very informative. All right, so if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. God damn, thank you so much, everybody, for all the support and everything. Was it Casey, Susie, Infectious Bites, Kimchi, Bradley Cooper, Meta Morgan, Greenball, thank you guys so much. Sincerely. It's fucking awesome. Before Bradley Cooper can be the one to remind me, I will remember and remind myself that I do have a YouTube. I would love if you guys would be able to go over there and subscribe. That would be helpful. If I can get more subscribers over there, that kind of opens up some opportunities for me to do some more stuff. I also started a Discord. It's not like the most active thing ever or anything like that. However, if we can get more people in there that are interested in, building, developing community, talking about, having intellectual conversations, learning, reading, growing together, those kinds of things, I'd be greatly, I think that's an opportunity for all of us to have something fun. And so that's the purpose there. But yeah, okay. And just bring up the next guest. Make sure that you are an adult and you have some kind of argument or evidence for God that doesn't rely on personal experience. Hi, Prala. How old are you?
Hey, how you doing? I'm 32.
Okay. Do you believe in a God?
So your argument is God isn't real, right?
That's not an argument, no.
You're saying prove me wrong. God isn't real. I'm saying
Yeah,
God is real.
Yeah, what God do
I'm
you
saying
believe in?
prove. I'm not saying God of the Bible.
Which God do you believe in?
This God is not in Scripture.
Which God do you believe in? This is the last time I'm asking this
One
question.
God.
If you can't tell me the answer, I'm just moving on.
One God.
I didn't ask how many gods you believe in.
Well, you can't name. There's all kinds of names for God. So.
And I didn't even ask for a name. So, last chance, what God do you believe in?
The God.
Hi, Dr. Nadim, how old are you?
I'm 40.
Okay. Do you believe in a God?
I do.
Fantastic. Which God do you believe in?
I believe in one creator. I mean, the God who created the universe.
Okay. Everyone who believes in a God believes in the God that created the universe. That's not informative. Either you'll give me an unambiguous answer that actually tells me what God you believe in, or I'll just move on. Which God do you believe in?
I believe in a Muslim God.
I don't know why you couldn't have just said that to begin with. What would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
My argument is, if you allow me to speak, because mostly you don't.
Well, what you're doing right now is going to get me to interrupt you. So don't do that. No meta, no tone policing. Just give the fucking argument, my guy.
Yeah, my argument is like, I'll continue with the argument with all the creatures that we humans are different than all the rest of the creatures in terms of creation itself.
Yep, and that's consistent. And that's consistent with the naturalistic worldview that doesn't include a God. So this obviously can't be evidence against naturalism and for theism. So what would be an argument that would give us a reason to believe in a God?
Because the way the universe works, it created, including our planet.
I think that the word created is doing a lot of work there. I think that our planet came about because of the dispositions of things in the universe, but that doesn't give me any reason to think that it was created or that there's any intelligence behind it. But your position is that it was created with an intelligence behind it. So what's the argument for that?
No, what do you mean by disposition?
You don't know what a disposition is?
I know disposition, but...
Oh, okay. Well, then you know what it is.
In terms of science.
Okay, so you know what I say when I say, like, glass has the disposition to break.
Yes.
So I'm talking about dispositions. Like, for example, the space-time has the disposition to bend when when mass is present. There are just dispositions in the universe. There are ways things behave due to natural processes or due to their intrinsic properties. And because of those dispositions and intrinsic properties of the things that exist in the universe, stuff happens, right? Gravity pulls things together. Other forces push things apart, like dark energy. Chemicals, chemistry happens, fusion, fission, like all kinds of things happen in the universe, and they produce other things. Great. What's the reason to believe in a God?
Because all these processes need a creator who...
Okay, that's just the claim. Please stop making claims. I don't need to hear any more claims. I just need the argument. What is the argument or evidence for the claim?
The evidence, the scientific study itself is the evidence that all these mechanisms...
What study?
Do you know the astrophysics, astronomy?
I am not an astrophysicist. What scientific study confirms that the universe was created? Where can I go read a scientific paper that says the universe must have been created? Because if you don't have that, then science isn't on your side.
No, the creation itself doesn't come into the existence. It was created.
Yeah, how do we determine that it was created? That's what you're supposed to be giving the argument for, not just restating that you believe it.
All the forces that are running the universe requires a creator.
That's the claim. Dr. Nadim, that's the claim. So I'm going to put this up on the screen so you can follow what's happening right now. Okay. The things in the universe and the universe itself needs a creator. Okay? So this is the claim. Okay? So you don't need to say this again. You don't need to say any version of this. What we need now is the support for the claim. Okay, so what's the support for the claim without repeating the claim?
The support for the claim, the very thought process we are talking about, God itself, is the claim.
The very thought process we are talking about God itself, that's not even a coherent sentence, my guy.
Yeah. It maybe I'm not so fluent in English, but what I'm trying to say, because it is encoded in our DNA, the Creator itself.
Yeah, that's just okay. I'm done, Dr. Nadim. Clearly, you don't have the ability to do anything other than just restate the claim. I really hope that you just like the sound of Dr. Nadim and you're not actually a doctor, because I can't imagine the kind of field where somebody that is like as incapable of coherent thought as you would be qualified to be a doctor. That's terrifying. Unbelievable. All right. Well, hopefully the next person actually has something. Okay, so if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Hey, Jimmy, how old are you?
43.
Okay, have we talked before?
Never. This is my first time.
Okay, fair enough.
Pleasure.
Yeah. Do you believe in a God?
I believe in a source. I believe in a collective consciousness.
Okay, well, I'm not talking about those kinds of things. I'm just asking about like a personal ultimate foundation to reality, like a mind that created and sustains the universe.
No.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all.
And
I'm
I believe
debating.
that.
Yep. That's what I'm debating, though, Jimmy.
Yes.
So if you don't believe in that, then we have nothing to debate. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Hey, take care of yourself, man. Have a good one. All right. Oh shit, we got the Heart Me goal or whatever the fuck it is. Awesome. Thanks everybody. And then also thanks for all the support. Fucking 3 Pips and Lupine and Lem and everybody. Thank you so much. Where am I at? So I mean, it's feasible that we could hit 3,700 followers tonight. That'd be fucking awesome. Genuinely, like, I just appreciate you all so much, and I don't know how to like say that enough without just being annoying and repeating myself a ton, but I do appreciate everybody so much. Yeah. Okay. So, we'll try to bring up the next person. Hopefully, again, an adult who actually has some kind of argument or evidence for God. Lupine, you're awesome. Thank you. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. We're gonna do this. We're gonna have a really good, linear, good faith conversation with Chill Z, and everyone's gonna have a great time. Oh no. Chill Z, you were supposed to save me. You were supposed to save me from the bad conversations. Hey, thanks, Ragnar. Well, that's unfortunate. Hi, News. How old are you?
Hello.
Hi, how old are you?
I'm 29.
Okay. Do you believe in a God?
I do believe in a God.
Cool. Which God do you believe in?
I believe in the God, Jacob's God, and Abraham's God, and the Father of Jesus Christ, the Old Testament, New Testament, Christian Bible.
Okay. You could just say Christian God. You don't have to do all that bullshit. What would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
I think that the best evidence that we have is the creation of life itself.
Okay. How does the creation of life provide evidence for God?
Because if you take the theory of evolution,
Well, the theory of evolution has nothing to do with the creation of life. So we shouldn't be
I
talking
do
about
think it
evolution.
does.
Nope.
Yeah, but I do think it does.
No,
That's
then you're just
that's
wrong.
my
Then you
reason.
just don't understand what evolution is. Evolution has nothing to do with the creation of life. So,
Well, if you take into consideration the first cell to ever reproduce,
right,
which
again,
is the basis
again,
for that.
news. Evolution has nothing to do with the creation of life. If you want to talk
It
about
does.
the creation of life, we can talk about that, but it has nothing to do with evolution. And if you're so
How do
uninformed
you
that you're
think-
going to just continue demanding that evolution
No, how
does
do
have
you
to
think?
do with the creation of life or the beginning of life, then I'm just going to move on because obviously you don't even know your own argument.
You don't give me the chance to, but sure.
Yeah, because you're pretending or you're claiming.
No, you don't give me the chance
you're-
to.
Well,
and you
because
don't
you're
explain
making
yourself.
you're making a false
You're not
claim.
explaining yourself.
If your argument relies on
Say
the
your explanation because you're not letting me even say.
Okay. So if the first point in your argument is something that is false, obviously we need to stop that, fix it, before and get it squared away before we continue. Okay. Yeah, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Maybe Chill Z can still be my savior. Hi Z, how old are you?
35 technically.
Okay. Do you believe in a God?
Yeah. So, play along with me, but I believe that I'm Zerubbabel, one of the two witnesses in Zechariah 4 that's supposed to bring about this.
Okay. Unfortunately, Chill Z did not save me. All right. So if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Hi, Omnism, how old are you?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi. How old are you?
I'm 44.
Okay. Do you believe in a God?
Read my name. It's true omnism.
Mm-hmm. I can read.
I'm sure you understand what omnism is, but do you know what true omnism is?
So, do you believe in a God?
Huh?
Do you believe in a God?
Yes, of course.
Cool. Which God do you believe in?
So I'm a confirmed-based true omnist. Confirmed Catholic-based true omnist. So I believe that every religion is a puzzle piece to a bigger picture. I sent you a message, right? I want you to copy and paste that into AI. And then I want you to ask about Genesis.
No. What's the best argument or
No.
evidence that would give us reason to believe in a God?
Because somebody messed up, didn't do the prime directive of Star Trek, and genetically engineered us to mine gold so they can get off this planet.
Okay,
and
that's
fix their,
a bunch of
atmosphere.
claims. What's some argument or evidence for God, please?
That is literally.
Hello? Hello? Bueller? Okay, well, good times, good times. That was fun. What does God need a spaceship for? What was that quote? Oh, what does God need with a starship? That was the Kirk quote. Hey, I don't need you to flex your knowledge on me, Lupine, just because I had to Google it to find out what the quote was. All right. All right, so if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining... no, that was Kirk, 3 pips. That was definitely Kirk that said, what does God need with a starship? I know that was Kirk. God, I hope it was Kirk. Was it? Captain Kirk asked this iconic question in the film Star Trek V: The Final Frontier. Yeah. Excuse me, I just wanted to ask a question. What does God need with a starship? It was Kirk. Okay, I got something right. Oof, that's brutal, Beard Abides. That's brutal. All right, so if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're an adult and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Now you're 2 pips? That's funny. Jacob, how old are you?
I'm 31.
Okay. Can you do anything about the feedback, background noise?
All right. There we go. Did that help?
Yeah, that helped immensely. Well, now there's still the echo. I don't know if you have headphones or anything, or maybe it's gone now. Okay, it seems like we're okay.
Okay, is that better?
Yeah, it seems good. What God do you believe in?
I guess I'm more of a believer in matrix theory personally, so I can't really put a name on it.
All right, fair enough. So we're just talking to people who actually believe in God, y'all. Okay. Okay, interesting. Wait, Lobes? What happened? Is Lobes here? Oh, Lobes is here. Hey, Lobes. Okay. Hi, Boogers. How old are you?
Hey, how's it going? 67.
Do you believe in a God?
Yes.
Which one?
I believe in Jesus Christ, I'd say.
And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in God?
You know, honestly, why don't you believe in God?
Okay. Well, there was nothing serious happening there. Hi, Dot. How old are you?
18. Psych.
Yeah.
Love the Lord.
This one dude has requested up like 20 times. Never actually connects. There we go again. That's true, actually. Anyone who is not currently following Lobes, make sure that you follow Lobes. Lobes, comment something in the chat so people can click on you and... Oh, there you are! Haha! Yes. Find Lobes in the chat. He just commented. Go follow him if you're not already. I'm pretty sure that's the Lobes. Oh, Silly Guy's on top of it. Thank you, Silly Guy. That's actually quite unsilly thing to do. Because it's so awesome and all. Okay. If you are... Oh, you love my shirt? Yeah, wearing some aliens today. Get away from her, you bitch. God, I fucking love Ripley. Ripley's so badass. Okay, if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Hi, David. How old are you?
25.
Okay. Do you believe in a God?
Yeah.
All right. Which God do you believe in?
I just believe in like creation. I think that there had to be a God. I'm not religious.
Sure. But you do believe in like a mind that created and sustains the universe?
Yeah, I think it's like the only thing that makes sense.
Sure. What would be the
Like
best?
I think there was like a creator of everything there is, but I don't believe in like religious like ideologies.
No
I just
problem.
think like there has to be a creator.
Yep. What would be the best argument or evidence that would give us justification to believe that?
I would literally just say like the probability of like the universe existing in the way that it does is like so low.
How did you determine that?
Like that, just by the way that everything works. I mean, like so many like unexplainable things.
No, but how did you determine what the probability
like,
is?
visualize, like,
How did what numbers did you use to determine the probability, and where did you get those numbers?
so I look at it just from like, all right, just from like the way that I observe the universe, right? Like there's
Yeah, but
nothing
what you
that
have to
exists
say,
that
what you
doesn't
have to say is that there are lots of different ways the universe could have been, and of all of the ways it could have been, it would be unlikely to be similar to this. So I just need to know how you determined that. How did you do that calculation?
Right. So I did it by.
Are you
basically
driving,
observing
David?
The world around it. Yeah.
Okay, that's against terms of
But,
service, so I have to drop you. I'm sorry. At first, I just thought that there was like a fan or something in the background, but then it became pretty obvious it was engine noise. Damn, Bertram, why is TikTok yelling at me to make sure to tell you how awesome you are? I don't know, but you are awesome. Also, thank you, Bear. Okay. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're an adult and have some kind of argument or evidence for God. Let's try take 87. Okay. Hi, Cone. How old are you?
I'm 23.
Do you believe in a God?
I do. I'm theist.
Which God do you believe in?
I do not subscribe to any religion.
I didn't ask about a religion.
Yeah, you're saying what God I believe in.
Yep. So just tell me what God you believe in, please.
Theist, I don't apply any characteristics to him outside of his potential existence.
Okay, well, believing something might exist is different from believing that something does exist. Do you believe that God does exist?
Yes.
Okay, and which God do you believe exists? Which version of God do you believe exists?
That's not, like, it can be deist, it can be not deist. That doesn't actually matter as to whether or not I think.
Okay. If you can't just tell me the God that you believe in, then there's no conversation to be had. Damn. Annoying. So frustrating. Okay, well, Amber's clearly not connecting. All right, let me check something here quick. Okay. All right. So if you are in the guest queue or thinking about joining the guest queue, make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that will provide rational justification to believe in a God. Hi, Maid. How old are you? Okay. Nobody's connecting. Is there like some problem with TikTok or something? Hi, Jay. How old are you?
I'm 21.
Okay. Do you believe in a God?
I do. I believe in Jesus Christ.
Fantastic. What would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
So I guess I kind of just want to know what your argument against it is, because I feel like in terms of believing, it really is just an argument about morals and personal conviction. So I don't think you can actually really convince someone that there is a God. I think that that's something that you have to do on your own. So I guess my question is why don't you believe in a God?
Well, I guess
What
I'm not
believes
really
you?
understanding what you're saying. Like, if you think that morals demonstrate that there's God, then that sounds like a reason, and I would just ask you to explain how that line of reasoning works. And I mean, we can discuss that. Now, I will say before, if whether you want to get into that or not, I'll just point out that the moral argument for God is self-defeating. So, I mean, I can understand not being super stoked to actually have to give the argument.
In
But
what sense?
I'm sorry?
In what sense?
Well, the moral argument for God would be something along the lines: if moral facts exist, then, or if objective moral facts exist, then God exists. Objective moral facts exist, therefore God exists. The problem with the argument is that if I ask you to support those two premises, when you try to support premise 2, there is no way to support premise 2 that doesn't destroy the argument. Because either you support the second premise that there are objective moral facts by appealing to without appealing to God, and if you can demonstrate objective moral facts without appealing to God, then you've demonstrated that the first premise, that you need God for objective moral facts, is false, and that ruins the argument. If instead you try to demonstrate objective moral facts exist with reference to God, then what you've done is make the argument circular. Because the argument originally is God exists because objective moral facts exist. So if you then say objective moral facts exist because God exists, your argument is now God exists because God exists, which is just a circle. You wouldn't let me say God doesn't exist because God doesn't exist. Obviously, that would not be a good argument. You wouldn't be convinced. In the same way, I'm not convinced by the argument God exists because God exists. However,
So what is your argument that he doesn't exist?
Yeah. So I think one way that we could argue that is just the very nature of God and, what kind of being he's supposed to be and the things he's supposed to have done preclude him from being able to exist. It makes it impossible. And one way we could see that is that if God is the, all-knowing creator of the universe, then he couldn't possibly exist, because if God is all-knowing, then he has a mind. If he has a mind, or if he's the creator of the universe, then he's outside of time. If he has a mind and he's outside of time, then he only has one unchanging mental state for all of eternity. If God only has one unchanging mental state, then that means that his mental states can't change. But acting on your will requires at least one change of mental states. So that means God doesn't have the capacity to act on his will. If he doesn't have the capacity to act on his will, he doesn't have the capacity to create the universe. And if God exists, then he did create the universe. Therefore, through the power of modus tollens, God does not exist.
So you're kind of treating it as God was a human.
No, I'm saying I'm not treating it like God's a human. I'm just saying, what are the other things that would be true if it was true that the Christian God existed?
So like that brings back to my whole point that the whole belief on if a God is real or not is really just your faith.
Sure.
Right?
So you don't have any reason to
Because
believe in it, and you don't think anybody else has a reason to believe in it.
I think there is a reason.
What's the reason?
I think that it can bring a lot of joy to people. And I
No,
think it
that's
can
a
bring
reason to
purpose.
pretend to believe it. What's a reason to think that it's true?
That is a reason. You can
No.
say it's pretending.
No,
but
that's
if
just a reason
someone-
to act like it's true. That's not a reason to think that it's true.
So then, what does someone lose though? So
That's
if I'm
irrelevant. I'm not talking
pretending-
about what you win or
if I'm-
lose. Jay, I'm not talking about
But
what you win or lose.
that's the whole
Jay,
point,
excuse me,
though.
you're missing the point. You are the one missing the point. The point here is whether or not there's reason to believe that God is real, not whether or not there's reason to act like God is real, or whether or not there's reason to pretend God is real. Is there reason to think it's actually true that God exists? That's what I'm looking for. Do you have anything like that?
There's no argument on either side. There's
Well, I
no.
already
If
gave you an
there's no.
argument. I already
No,
gave you
you
an
didn't.
argument because you asked for
You
one and you
didn't.
ran away from it.
If
So
there's
then
no
respond to my
scientific
argument.
proof,
So then
if
respond
there's
to my
no
argument.
scientific proof that he's real, then
Res-
there's no scientific proof that he isn't.
I didn't say anything
It's
about scientific proof. I provided you a philosophical argument that demonstrates that your God cannot possibly exist. So
so then
respond
do
to the
you hold
argument
that
then.
standard to every god, or is it just like Jesus? Do
No,
you hold it to?
there are no gods. No gods exist. All gods are fake and fictional,
Do you think like that with all religions as well?
obviously.
Anything? Just so then, what's the point?
What's the point of what?
So why are you here sitting on a live if you don't believe in anything? Is it just to bash people? Is it just to? I don't understand what the whole concept.
I enjoy debating, and I enjoy helping people see the error of their ways when it comes to believing in God. You currently have a massive error
judges
in
if
your
it's error?
in your
So who
view.
judges if it's right or wrong? You
I
do?
I have already shown you that you are wrong, and you know that it's true, and that's why you refuse to engage with what I said.
I don't though. That's
Okay,
why
then
I'm
engage with
saying
what I
the
said.
whole
Respond
point.
to my argument. You asked me
So
for an
the whole
argument. I
point.
gave it. If you're not running away from it, then respond to
You
it.
gave a it was philosophy is what you did. You didn't
I
give me a scientific.
I gave you an argument.
You didn't give me a scientific argument though.
I didn't say
Is the
anything
whole
about
point.
science.
I'm saying the proof that God is real. My whole argument is if you want proof that God is real, that is something that you need to do individually.
Okay, so you have
because the
nothing. All
whole
right, fair
point-
enough. I probably
because
should
the
have just
whole
kicked
po-
you from the beginning. That's my bad. That's on me. Hey, thanks, Grandpa Books. A scientific argument, yeah. Thanks, Ragnar. You fucking rule. And also Books. And Bertram and Lem, Drew, thank you guys. All right. Yeah, it kind of seems that way, doesn't it, Noah? No matter how many people I bring up, none of them have any evidence. And then they ask me for an argument, I provide it, and then they refuse to engage with it. Okay. I find that to be funny as well, Kimchi, but I don't always check to see if that's what's happening. Okay. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're 18 plus and that you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in God. Was about to bring up the next person. Oh, here we go. Okay. Is there some problem with TikTok that people aren't connecting? This is really frustrating. Okay, well, currently the guest queue is empty. I feel pretty lucky that typically we do get people in here requesting, so that when I go through, even when I go through people pretty quickly, usually we still have some folks requesting. Unfortunately, don't have anybody requesting at the moment. Talk about atheism. I mean, what is there to talk about with atheism? I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to get better at giving giving arguments in a more conversational way instead of just like reading premise by premise, because that kind of gets boring and annoying for a lot of people, and I can see that. What in the fuck? All right. All right. Well, we'll see if we can have a good conversation here. Hi, Pro. How are you?
Gar, I slapped the shit out of you, bro.
Oh, you were the guy that wants to fight.
Yeah, I want to fight. I'm back
Okay.
here again. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just want to
asked
have
Dean
I want to have a
fight,
verbal
so now
fight.
I'm back to you.
I want to have a verbal fight, right?
Verbal
like a
fight?
debate. Yeah, debate. Like a debate.
I like that one.
So,
Yeah.
what's the reason to believe in God? Actually, how old are you?
I'm 18.
Oh, that's embarrassing.
Not really. It's more embarrassing to be bold. But
which God do you
fair
believe in?
enough. I believe in the white God.
The which God?
The white God.
Okay, so in addition to being an idiot, you're also a racist?
I mean, when you put it like that, I mean, you can say what you want.
Okay, so you're just a garbage human being, is what you're saying.
I mean,
fair enough. I mean, we already knew that he was an idiot. It's unfortunate. Well, all racists are idiots, but not all idiots are racist. There are some idiots out there who aren't also racist. Damn. Let me run back. Oh, I don't even know if I have people requesting, so I'm not paying attention. There. Okay. I like. All right. So, yeah. Again, empty guest box. Was planning to go for like another hour, but maybe we just call it. Honestly, I don't know. I guess I could also do a restart on TikTok and see if we get some more folks in. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe somebody said they want to join, but they're not requesting. So all white supremacists are Christian. I don't know if that's the case, but it certainly seems to be a lot of them. Certainly seems to be a lot of them. I don't know. It seemed like I had to say this. Oh, your friend wants to join. Well, your friend can also join if I reset. I don't know why, but apparently I had to say this on a recent stream. But let's just make sure we're all on the same page here. You know, homophobia is bad. Transphobia is bad. Racism is bad. Bigotry in all of its forms is bad. I don't know. Are there other obvious things that I need to say? Capitalism is bad. That's another one. Good book recommendations. I mean, that depends on what kind of books you like. How about we do one of those? Okay. Yeah, okay, all right. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you're an adult and you have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God. Hey, a few more follows, we get to 3,700. That's fun.
Hello.
Hi, Heretic. How old are you?
I'm 37.
Okay. Do you believe in a God?
Yes.
All right. And which God do you believe in?
Let me do something first because I can hear myself. There's echo. Where's the echo? There. Turned off the echo. What was your question?
Which God do you believe in?
The God of the universe.
I don't have the patience
Jesus.
for this. Okay, thank you. And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
Oh, can I turn on my camera?
No. If you do, I'm kicking you.
Oh, I have pictures.
Yep. If you turn on your camera, I'm kicking you. What's the best argument or evidence that would give us rational justification to believe in God?
Well, I can't do this if I don't turn on the camera. Just kick me.
Okay, fair enough. It just reminds me of that dude, Toxic Misogynist, who keeps going into every live telling them that he has evidence for God, and then it's just like pictures from a prayer retreat or whatever the fuck it's called, like a prayer thing where a bunch of people got around and prayed, and then some lady stood up who was in a wheelchair. It's like, yeah, the stupid healing thing. It's so dumb. It's obviously not evidence. All right. So yeah, the guest queue's empty. So yeah, I think I'm gonna just go ahead and reset here, and then we'll see if somebody actually wants to, if we can actually get a real debate after the reset. So I will be back momentarily, assuming that I can get my mouse to work. Okay. Okay, we're doing, and go live again. All right. And we're back. Today's the day, Dave? I don't know. Nobody's convinced me yet, but maybe. Just maybe. We shall see. Oh, thanks 3 Pips for sharing the live out, helping get some people in here so we can hopefully actually have a real debate. Okay, well, we'll see. We'll see whether or not we get anything. Also, genuinely, only 4 people away from 3,700. That's fucking crazy. If I have to switch that to like the road to 5,000, it's going to be nuts. What up, Lobes?
What's up, man? Nothing but nobody's convinced you yet, right?
Unfortunately.
Oh, well. So you want to be convinced, huh?
Well, I mean, if it's true, and people seem pretty convinced that it's true.
Well, damn. Well, anyway, everybody's tipping me, so that's pretty cool.
Nice. Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Thanks, Grandpa Books and Lupine and everybody sending support to Lobes. Thank you.
Oh, shit, 2 pips?
Two
pips just followed?
2 pips with the follow.
Wait, does that mean that we've been dealing with the 3rd edition of pips the whole time? Oh my god.
That was fucking awesome. Who sent that? Was that Grandpa Books? No, who sent that? Oh, Bertram. Thank you, Bertram. Fuck yeah.
Is Pips Senior still around? Or is he like...
Well, I don't know if 2 pips is because we were talking earlier about a Star Trek quote, and I said it was Kirk, and then 3 pips said that it was McCoy, and I looked it up and confirmed that it was Kirk, and then he said that we could take away a pip.
Oh.
So he demoted himself. All right, well, we'll see if we can have some good convos here. Make sure that you're an adult and actually have some kind of argument or evidence for God. I wonder if this is the same Akub that I've spoken to before. I don't remember what that conversation was about. Hi, is this the same Akub I talked to before?
Maybe we are. How are you, man?
Yeah, Akub Javid, or Javid. Yeah, same name. And you wouldn't engage is what I've got. We talked a little over like a month and a week ago.
I think.
And yeah, my only note from the conversation is that you wouldn't engage. And I think I actually may have posted our conversation. Not that I remember it, but anyway, are you still Muslim?
Alhamdulillah. Till death, I'm Muslim.
Oh, that's too bad, man. I'm sorry.
It's good for me, myself. It's okay with me.
And what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in a God?
Yeah, I can ask the same thing. On your head, it isn't God isn't real.
Yep, and then what does it say below that?
So if we talk about that God isn't real, what do you think about it?
Well, obviously, it's the position that I hold. Do you have some argument or evidence that would give me reason to change my position?
I have like dozen of arguments. What you said that God isn't real. That who made you?
My parents. We had actually. Why am I having to talk about this multiple times in the same night? So here's what happened. Back in
No, it's not the
1985.
same night. I'm
So
from
the year is
Pakistan. It's not-
1985, right? And it's what? It's like March. We're gonna say somewhere around March. And unfortunately for my sand, what was that, Lopes?
I said flashing bags.
Why are you not talking with
Everybody's
me?
wearing what, like leg warmers? You know what I mean? Like Bridget Fonda, I assume, is all over TV. And then, unfortunately, I don't like to think about it, but my parents boned. And then my mom got pregnant from the boning. And then 9 months later, around Christmas time, 1985, she popped me out of her cooter.
Which was the style at the time.
It was the style at the time, yeah.
Congratulations for you.
Yeah, thank you.
What do you
More
think-
congratulations to my mom. I mean, can you imagine giving birth to this?
Oh, you came out like that.
Yeah, I'm.
Oh, well, I mean, I was smaller then, but not by much. Not by nearly enough for her to pop me out like that. I feel very bad for her that she had to carry and give birth to me. But that's where I came from.
She was
Do you think
the lady who gives birth in a movie, like all the cliche, like.
this is the problem? You don't let anybody ask any questions or give anybody's answer.
I mean, I would love an
So
argument,
do you
Akub.
think-
I was asking you for an argument, and then you asked me a silly question.
I didn't ask you any silly question until now. Can
Okay,
I ask
so
you
do you
a
have
silly
any
question?
argument or evidence, or should I just move on?
All night long. Try me.
So you don't have an argument or evidence?
I said I have all argument whole night long.
Okay,
Try
then
me.
provide one of them.
The first one. What do you think you are not a monkey?
Okay, that's a question. What's the argument?
It's a question. What do you think you are not a monkey?
Yeah, I'm not. This isn't time for you to ask questions. This is the time for you to give an argument. So for the last time, what would be one argument or piece of
Argument
evidence?
started with the question, you dumb. Start using your.
Fair enough.
Would not engage a second time.
Uh-huh. I'm going to put still wouldn't engage. And I also noticed that I just got a follow from one pip. So 3 pips has demoted himself all the way down to 1 pip. I'm going to be very sad if I get a...
Down to no pips.
I was going to say, I'll be really sad if I get a follow from no pips.
Yeah, nope. There's no. I saw this meme one time. It was like a fucking, what's that show called? Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? You know how they got the 4 questions, and it was like, how much diggity? It was like no diggity, hardly any diggity, a fair amount of diggity, or an overwhelming surplus of diggity. Oh my god, I love. I just love that. That stupid stuff is what tickles me the most. An overwhelming surplus of diggity. That's what I want.
I don't know, man. But the thing is that with no diggity comes no doubt, and that sounds awesome. And I don't mean the band.
Yeah, but like, is that because you're justified having no doubt because you have acquired absolute knowledge, or do you have no doubt in like a fallacious way where you should have doubt?
I think that diggity brings doubt with it, right? And so the absence of diggity, you know what I mean? Like doubt is synonymous with the presence of diggity. And so I think that
Right. If diggity, then doubt.
yeah, that's
Right,
what I'm
right.
saying, right?
Like,
So if
you
we
have no
remove
diggity, then
if we remove the diggity, then we're also I think then we're justified in thinking there would be no doubt
just correct, just by virtue of modus tollens. Yeah, I see. I'm tracking a lot of
through the power of modus tollens, no diggity, no doubt.
Yeah. So then, if you have doubt, then you know that there is at least one dig it. Like, what is it? What's a 1 unit of diggity? Is it like
Wait,
just a
how do you
digit, a
spell
digit?
how do you spell diggity? No diggity? Is
I
it
think
like
it's
that?
Diggity.
It totally is. Yeah, had to confirm because what we're gonna do here is we're gonna go.
But you have to spell
one.
DOUBL like double G.
If doubt, then diggity. No doubt, or no. I'm sorry. No diggity. No doubt.
That correct. Hey, what's the inference rule for that? I just want to make sure this is valid.
Oh yeah, this is modus tollens.
Oh, could you type that out for me? I just want to see the.
Yeah, so modus tollens usually goes if doubt, then diggity.
My screenshot.
This is the greatest argument that I have ever written, I think.
You're welcome. I'm just like, because it was one of my shower thoughts. Like I saw that meme and I was like, there's something very philosophical about this shit right here.
if
I
doubt,
need to bring
then
this
diggity.
up to the O man. Oh man, you're the O man.
Oh boy.
The bad omen.
Oh shit. Backstreet. Wait, who did that song? No.
Backstreet, but Backstreet's back.
Wait.
Would it be the Backstreet Boys?
Oh, Blackstreet. I was gonna say there's not Backstreet Boys. It's Blackstreet. Okay, that makes so much more sense. I was gonna say if that's Backstreet Boys, then my entire fucking life is a lie. Okay.
Oh my god.
That's cannot.
That's a Mandela effect if you've ever seen one.
See, I Blackstreet. Okay, I'm on board. That makes sense. Yes, it was Blackstreet. It was not Backstreet, as in Backstreet Boys. That would have been.
Now, if Backstreet's back, then it's all right. But so if it's not all right, we could also infer that Backstreet is not back.
Okay, all right. I mean,
and if something's not back, I think the alt to that would just be front. So Backstreet would be front. If everything is not all right.
So what we really need is the Front Street Boys, I think. All right, we're gonna see if we can have a real conversation here. I'm high. I got high hopes for Shay. Hi, Shay. How old are you?
I'm 37.
Now, what's your position on diggity?
On no diggity?
Yeah, like, what do you think? I mean, do you think that, like, the absence of diggity creates the absence of doubt, or are they, like, just, like, coincidentally related in the song?
Oh, man, I'm kind of lost. I was reading
All right. Well, hey, I'll give you some time to think about it. I'm just going to need your homework by next week, okay?
He could have just been listing that he doesn't have any diggity or doubt.
Well, yeah, but hey, that's what the song advocates for.
Not causation.
Well,
Right.
according
I
to
can say I'm from Virginia Beach, so the producer, Teddy Riley, he's from out here. So
well, so you probably actually have more access to the truth of the diggity doubt connection than I do up here in the Midwest.
He's got less
so.
diggity than either of us put together.
That's true. Yeah, that's you probably got the least diggity of all of us here. Well, all right. Well, you don't need to keep flexing your diggity knowledge on us. I think I asked this, but he left. I was gonna move on to something real, and he really only wanted to talk about diggity.
Can you post this conversation? Oh my
god. I have to post diggity post. So fuck. That was fantastic. All right, but genuinely, mods, clip it. And also, just so you guys know, if you're just joining, calc is short for calculator. I'm just using slang. So if you're in the guest,
it's not like
what's that? No,
it's not like it's like calc.
No, calc is just short for calculator. It's just slang, guys.
Yeah.
Come on,
or calcium. But like we're not talking about calcium.
Yeah, you had to use a calc for that, Andy. You had to use a calc. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure you're 18 plus and have some kind of argument or evidence that would provide justification to believe in a God. Hi, Wordman.
Hello?
How old are you?
Yeah, I'm 24.
Okay. And then, do you believe in a God?
I do.
Cool. What God do you believe in?
God Almighty, Elohim.
Okay. Are you Christian or Jewish or?
I don't put myself in that category as far as being.
Are you like BHI or?
No, no, no. I'm gonna say. I guess you could say I'm a believer in Christ, but I won't consider myself a Christian. Christian is really not in the Bible.
Well, what's
But
your position on Jesus? Is Jesus God? Did he die for your sins and stuff?
of course.
Okay, well,
You
that's
see-
fine. We'll just.
But
I mean,
I had a question because you were atheist, right?
I am actually. Lobes and I are both atheists. Yes.
Yeah, both of y'all guys. Yeah. So you got your own opinion on stuff, right? So my question is this: what's your take on demonic entities? Do you think they're real?
No. And I'll just. I'm not even going to let Lobes answer. He doesn't think they're real either.
So you don't think that no type of evil spirits are real or anything like that, or not like that?
I don't believe in any spirits. Lobes, do you believe in anything like spirit related?
I've got some Bacardi in the top shelf of my cabinet, but currently I think that's the only one. The rest of it's in the storage unit.
Fair enough. Yeah. So the only spirits that either of us have are, well, for me it's vodka.
Gotcha. And, I'm pretty sure you probably, if you wouldn't be speaking on it if you ain't do your research on certain stuff to have your opinion correct. So, can you explain to me why you feel like God isn't real to you?
Yeah, sure. I think that the easiest way to get there is just by saying that every time someone has claimed a God does exist and tried to provide a reason for people to believe it, they failed to actually give a reason that supports the position. So I think that that's like the easiest way. But depending on how you want to use the words, maybe that only gets you to agnosticism. Because I think a lot of people like using the word atheist to mean having the positive position that there is no God, which, whatever. We can accept that, and I'll just say that I'm still an atheist under that view. But the way to get there is to not only acknowledge that every time someone has tried to demonstrate a God or give reason to believe in a God, they failed, but to also see that there are no reasons, that there are good reasons to think that there couldn't be a God, to think that in order for a God to exist, it would entail a contradiction. Like one way to think about it is if the Bible was true and the Christian God existed, like Jesus was God or whatever, then there would be an all-knowing, all-powerful, all-good God. I couldn't remember the third omni. So there would be an all-good, all-knowing, all-powerful God if Christianity was true, right? Or if your belief in Jesus and God was real, right?
Are you saying you want physical proof?
No, I'm just asking you a question so I can make sure that we're on the same page so that I can make a point here.
You guys, you saying? Are you saying what God is? God is omniscient, all knowing, etc. We understand that as far as what my belief is.
Yeah. So your belief is that if your belief is correct, then there is an all good, all knowing, all powerful God, right?
Amen.
Okay, fantastic. The problem is if there was an all good, all knowing, all powerful God, then the Bible, your belief system based on it couldn't possibly be true. So it's a self-defeating belief system, right? Because it proves itself wrong.
Are you going off of contradictions? Because the world contradicts itself 24/7. I hope that's what you're saying. That I really want you to say that the Bible is contradicted, because I can contradict history in general as far as
what I'm saying is that the concept of just the thing that you believe in proves that your beliefs aren't real, right? What I'm saying is by you believing that there is an all good, all knowing, all powerful God that created, you don't want to claim Christianity, but that created the system that you believe in. Well, the problem is if there was an all good, all knowing, all powerful God, it would never have created that system. It wouldn't have created the world the way that book says he did. It wouldn't have taken the actions or given the commands that the book says he did. Therefore, your belief system has to be wrong.
I disagree. My other
okay, so here's going to be a question for you then, Wordman. If I told a group of people to go to a different city and murder all of the men, women, boy children, and all of the animals, but I told them that they could take all of the virgin girls for themselves to make war brides, and to rape them, would I be a good person for doing that, or would that make me a bad person?
I mean, as a person or as God?
No, just in general. Is that a good command to give, or is that a bad command to give? If I told a bunch of people, if I told a whole group, hold on, Wordman. I just want to clarify. If anyone gave a command to a group of people to go commit genocide against another group of people, but leave the little girls alive so they could rape the children, would that command be a good command, or would that be a bad command?
That's literally it. That would be bad, but that's literally
Okay,
American.
fantastic. So it would be bad.
Hold on,
Wordman. Hold on. Calm down. You're asking me to tell you why I don't think that your beliefs are correct, and I'm explaining it to you. So I need you to let me explain it. So what we're saying is that God is all good. If God is all good, he never gives evil commands.
That's a lie.
If God did give evil commands, therefore, the conclusion would be God is all good and God is not all good. And then we can conclude, I'll probably should put this up on the screen here. So from that, we'll go here. God doesn't exist. Okay, so we'll go there, and then we'll do one of these. So you think that God can be all good and also give evil commands?
God is God. He can do what he wants. First of all.
Okay, so what I need you to explain to me, Wordman.
You asked me my opinion.
Wordman. What I need you to explain to me is that I need you to help me understand how it's possible to be all good but also give evil commands.
He's God. He's in control.
Yep. I just need you to explain to me how it's possible for both of those things to be true at the same time.
It's simple. If he's the hierarchy, he's him. He's God. He can do.
Yep. I just need you to.
And Werman, do you understand the logic that Nogar is putting forth with the syllogism?
You want me to break it down as far as that? As far as why?
Do you understand why this logic works here?
Do you want me to break it down in a biblical stance of why I feel like that, or you want me to just say he's God, he can do what he wants as far as that?
I just want to make sure that you understand his argument.
He's saying that if God is good and he's all good, etc., why is he giving an evil command? And I just said because he's God, he can do what he wants. And on
but that means that he's not all good then.
So all right. So I understand it's your chat and you want to talk and stuff like that. Let me know when I can respond and give my point of view on it. You know what I'm saying? As far as everything that's going on. And my point of view is going to come strictly from the Bible. And I understand that we're going to end up disagreeing towards the end of it, though, but that's just what it is at the end of the day. So
okay, so I've got this new argument here that I just wrote out. I need you to respond to this. Do you agree that if God is all good, well, no, you must not agree if God is all good, he only gives good commands. So I need you to explain how this is false.
If God is all good, he only gives good commands. That's false.
Yeah, explain that to me.
First of all, God never created sin. Man did.
This isn't an explanation. I need you to explain to me how something can be 100.
You just asked. What are you talking about?
Yeah, because you're not answering my question, Wordman.
How am I not answering your question?
Yeah, so if something is 100% good, but it does bad things, then it seems to me like you've got a contradiction there. If it's 100% good, that means it is 0% bad. If something is 0% bad, then it doesn't do any bad things.
The whole world is built on contradictions, sir. You said earlier, right? You asked me a question. You said,
and you're not engaging. So if God can be all good and not give exclusively good commands, then what would you call a God that gives exclusively good commands? Like extra all good? Like, is he like 150% good or something?
He says he's a jealous God. Do y'all read?
Okay.
So do you think that God is not all good? Is that your position? He's not all good?
Of course he's all good. Yeah. I'm going to tell you right now.
Well, here's the problem, Wordman, I'm so sorry. Look, you seem like you're probably a decent person in general. Like, you're probably, like, I don't think like you're a bad person necessarily. But you're clearly not prepared for this kind of conversation because we're trying to actually have like a serious conversation about what we have reasons to believe in. And it's obvious that we don't have any reason to believe in the things that you don't have any reason to believe in the things that you're saying. You just believe them because you believe them. I've given you plenty of chances to explain and you refuse. I've given you plenty of chances to explain it. You refuse to do so. All you're doing is saying my position is my position because it's my position. That doesn't get us anywhere. I appreciate you trying, but I am going to move on to the next person. Very frustrating. Oh, if nobody has noticed, or actually some people have noticed, but in case there are some folks out there who haven't noticed, due to the help from Unknown Flows, I've got some like stickers in the chat for like fans or whatever, not super fans, but just like fans.
Ooh, stickers.
Check 'em out, Lobes. There's a Eunice one.
What?
Yeah, Lem posted the Eunice one.
That's really that's great and interactive, you know, because whenever you bring it up, they're just gonna spam the Eunice, you know, the Eunice stickers. That's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or when they think you should invoke Eunice.
There you go.
Here come the stickers. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the I don't even know which one's my favorite one.
Can they make a loop sticker?
You got to talk to Unknown Flows.
All right, Unknown Flows. I'm going to request a loop sticker for this live.
Yeah, Eunice is the bomb. I love Eunice. No Pinhead. No Lem. I'm not trying to do like copyrighted shit. Flo said he'll do one, Lobes. Oh, he said Lobe, so he must have been talking to somebody else. Somebody who's only got one lobe. All right.
Singular.
The Lobe?
I'm like culmination. Have you ever seen Digimon where they like combine?
Okay,
like,
well,
one
now we're
Digimon?
moving on. All right, if you're in the guest queue, we're thinking about joining. We're not talking about we'll talk about Digimon on this in this house. If you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure that you are read the first philosophy book. Mog, which one? Knowledge, Reality, and Value? Talk to me. Oh my God, Mog, we have to talk about it. Post about it in the Discord so we can talk about it, please. Okay, if you're in the guest queue or thinking about joining, make sure you're an adult and have some kind of argument or evidence for God. Oh my God, I'm so stoked to talk to Mog about that. Fuck yeah, that's going to be awesome. Hi, Jake. How old are you?
I am 44.
Cool. And which God do you believe in?
The God of the Christian Bible.
Okay. And then what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would provide rational justification to believe in God?
Rational justification to believe in God?
Yeah. As opposed to irrational justification.
I would say creation. Evolution, specifically. The theory of.
Okay. And how would evolution give us reason to believe in God?
Well, it's not necessarily because evolution is good, but because I don't think evolution provides satisfactory evidence to why the Earth exists.
Yeah, so it sounds like what you're saying is there is a way that it gives us reason to believe in God. That's fine. I already knew that that was your position. I'm asking you to go deeper. Explain what it is about evolution specifically that gets us to God. So what I need you to do is to give the explanation that concludes, therefore God exists.
Explain that a little more for me.
So if you were asking me to give an argument that God doesn't exist, I would give all of the points that work together to lead to the conclusion God doesn't exist, and I would give the whole thing and then conclude, therefore God doesn't exist. So I'm asking you to do that, but the opposite side, where you conclude, therefore God exists.
Okay, so I would say that the biggest rationale that I have for that is that you've heard of the theory of least complexity?
I don't think I have, no.
Okay, so like if you take a car and there's a minimum complexity where that system can still be a car and still function as a vehicle, right? So if you take too many parts out of it, it can't be a car anymore.
Oh, are you just talking about irreducible complexity?
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm talking about.
Okay, well that's that's been debunked so many fucking times, and I'm not a biologist, so I'm not really here to talk about like your misunderstandings of evolution. So I'm not really going to be able to give you a biology lesson. So is there anything, and I'm going to assume because you don't even know what irreducible complexity is, and that you think that such a ridiculous concept actually holds any weight to it, that tells me that you don't actually know anything about biology either. So I don't think that we should be basing our conversation on something neither of us is familiar with.
I don't think that I need to know about biology to understand how the world works.
No,
if you
but
take
you
too
do.
many parts out of a car, it's not a car anymore.
Yeah, again, irreducible
that's
complexity.
That's reasonable.
Irreducible complexity has been debunked over and over and over again. Typically, what people want to point to is stuff like bacteria flagellum, and we know how flagellum develop. We know how the parts of them develop. We know how the parts, as they begin developing, are beneficial to the organism. We know why they continue developing. We know how every stage happens, why it happens, why it leads to the next stage. Like, this is stuff that we've already figured out and we understand. And if you just haven't bothered to look into it to realize that, unfortunately, I don't have the biology education or the wherewithal to explain this all to you. So all the best I can do is recommend that you go look into some information about biology, evolution. Just look up, like, arguments against irreducible complexity. Even if you don't end up believing in it, at least you can have a more coherent conversation about it. But because irreducible complexity definitely isn't going to get us to God, because, we could even say that evolution was guided by some, non-God force. So even that wouldn't get us to God. What would get us to God?
Well, you can't have existence without creation.
That's a claim. What would be the support for that claim?
Well, again, I would go back to just, I don't think that you can, science has produced nothing, in my opinion, that would sufficiently say why we exist, or that we exist at all.
Yeah, I think that that kind of question is a philosophical question. So I don't think science is aiming to or has the capacity to answer questions that are philosophical in nature, which is why I wouldn't, if I was trying to demonstrate that there is no God, I wouldn't give you scientific information. I would give you a philosophical argument. I think the best way, I think that if there is a way to provide a reason to believe in God, it's probably going to be a philosophical argument and not a scientific one. So, I have it doesn't bother me as someone who, is a naturalist, doesn't believe in a God. It doesn't bother me that science doesn't have answers for philosophical questions, because science isn't trying to answer those questions.
So you don't have a problem with the fact that, like, you don't have any problem with the arguments that are for, like, intelligent design? That the system has to be designed by somebody, that it wouldn't come together naturally like this?
I don't think that anyone has ever provided any reason to believe that's the case.
That no one's ever provided reason to believe that there's intelligent design to the universe?
Correct.
So more like a sufficient justification. I mean, obviously there's been attempts, but we don't start with the assumption that there is one. So, like, disproving it is not really our burden. We haven't been convinced by these arguments.
So it's not, you don't have to disprove the intelligent design? Is that what you're...
Well, what Lobes is saying is that until someone gives a reason to act, like a compelling reason to believe in intelligent design, all we have to do, the only thing we have to do to be reasonable is to assess the arguments, see that they don't actually justify the conclusion that intelligent design is real, and then we continue in our position that intelligent design probably isn't real. So if you think that there is a reason to believe in intelligent design, I think Lobes and I would both be happy to hear it and engage with it honestly. But I'm very doubtful that you'll be able to provide anything of substance.
Yeah, I think, if you guys have already done your research on it and don't have any claims against it, I don't know what I could do. I mean, in my opinion, the way the universe falls together, especially when you look at the planet Earth, that it's exactly...
Yeah, I think that's actually evidence against God. Yeah, I think that's evidence against God.
How so?
Because God could have made the earth, more ways that aren't sustaining for life, that he still could have made life on, than ways that seem to be sustaining for life that have life. And since it's more likely that God would make a world without fine-tuning but still have life than God making a world with fine-tuning and life, it means it's unexpected under the theistic hypothesis that we would find life and fine-tuning together. So therefore, finding fine-tuning is evidence against God.
That doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Okay.
The God that would put life on the earth would have to find a way to sustain it.
No, God is all powerful. God can sustain life without life-sustaining natural constants, right? God doesn't need gravity to be a specific value in order to keep life on the planet if he wants it to be here. He doesn't need electromagnetism to work in a way that's conducive to the necessary chemical and electrical reactions that produce life naturally. God could make life without any of that. And in fact, there are more ways God could make life without any of that than ways that God could make life with it. Therefore, it's more likely and therefore more expected under theism that we would find life without fine-tuning than life with fine-tuning. Since it's unexpected to find life with fine-tuning, that means that it's evidence against God when we find life with fine-tuning.
That's not true at all. That's not true at all.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
If you were going to have a God that is going to make people or make things that are going to live, it absolutely makes more sense that he would also devise a system that they would be able to live in.
No, that doesn't make any sense at all, because you're saying the only reason we should expect the only reason that we should expect the conjunction of life and apparent fine-tuning is if there isn't a God to sustain life, and life needs to be sustained by the natural, like the physical constants. If there's a God that can sustain life without relying on the physical constants doing the work for him, then there are more ways that life could exist without fine-tuning than ways life could exist with fine-tuning.
But why would he want to do that?
Well, now you're just saying that now you're just making a divine psychology claim. So how do you know that God would want life with fine-tuning?
Well, because we're made in his image, so he's going to think a little bit like us.
What's that,
right?
Lex?
So
hold on, Jake. Jake.
Why would he expect that God would want to make life at all?
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you why the God of the Bible wanted to make life at all. All right, he wanted to make life because his essence is love. And
yeah,
so
but he could get love with he could get love by giving electrons minds and making them love each other and love him.
It was love. I was perfectly content with the Trinity,
why would he give
That's true,
electrons
Lobes.
minds?
Well, why would he have to make humans to give him minds? Why couldn't he give electrons minds?
What kind of love would you get out of an electron?
Why would it have to?
What kind of love would it get out of humans?
Yeah,
I mean,
why would it have to be any different?
The gap between us and God is different. Is like way infinitely bigger between the gap between us and an ant. What we couldn't get a stimulating, loving relationship from an ant, so it's even worse for us to God.
Oh, but see, that's why the connection with God is so important.
No, you need to demonstrate. No, what you need to do, Jake, what you need to do is demonstrate how you determined that God would want to create life with fine-tuning.
Because he would want to create life with fine-tuning because that is the one that makes the most sense.
No, that's your claiming. You're claiming that it makes the most sense.
Yes.
How did you, Jake? Stop. You need to let me finish before you jump in. Okay.
Okay. Go ahead. Yeah.
Here's the tip I'm going to give you. If you don't want to get interrupted, then just make sure that what you're saying is actually engaging with the substance of the conversation, and you'll never get interrupted. If you want this conversation to be any kind of productive and be able to move forward, you need to allow us to speak so that we can make sure that we're guiding the conversation, because it's clear that if we don't actively guide you in this conversation, you're just going to run all over the fucking place. Okay? So I just need you to focus in. What you have said is that God wants to create life with fine-tuning because it's the way that makes the most sense. I understand that you think it's the way that makes the most sense to you, but you need to explain how you determined that that's what makes the most sense to God.
Because it's the way that it would make the most sense to anybody. Would you create?
That's just the claim again. That's just the claim again, Jake. Explain.
Would you create a system that wouldn't be self-sustaining?
No, Jake.
Would you?
You're only asking the question to get out of answering the question that I'm asking you, so I'm not going to allow it. How did you determine that it makes the most sense for God to create life with fine-tuning?
Because if you didn't create it with fine-tuning, it would require his constant it would not be the best possible life that you could live.
How did you determine it wouldn't be the best possible life? How did you determine that God needs fine-tuning to make the best possible life?
From God. If you're talking about constant intervention, then you're talking about constant miracles needed in order to sustain life.
So what?
And
how did you determine that God doesn't want that?
I can't possibly determine that God
Okay,
doesn't
then you
want that
can't
other
say,
than
then
he
you
didn't
cannot,
make it that
okay,
way.
Jake, then you cannot say that your view predicts fine tuning. All you can say is, what are the possible ways that God could have made the universe? And then, do I have any way to privilege, to say some are more likely than others? It doesn't sound like you do have a way to determine that some possible ways the universe could be would be more likely than other possible ways it could be. And since there are more non-fine-tuned ways that God could make life than fine-tuned ways that God could make life, it's unexpected to find life with the appearance of fine-tuning if God exists. Therefore, finding life with the appearance of fine-tuning is evidence against God.
No, it's not like the constant miracles would be like a strain on God. He wouldn't get tired. Constant miracles would be just as effortless as the constants sustaining us. But Jake, I think the reason why you think that it makes the most sense why God would do life with fine tuning is because that's what makes sense to us in a naturalistic world. Like that's what we have, and that's what we would expect under naturalism. So it does track. Like I would only expect life if the universe permitted life. If the universe did not permit life, the constants were such that life couldn't exist without some kind of divine intervention, and yet life existed, that would be really good evidence for God, in my opinion. I think that's what Ogre's trying to get at.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, that if it were impossible to life exist here, yet it does, that would be more evidence of God than against it.
Right, and but also, but here's the other important part, Jake.
God doesn't want a self-sustaining system.
No, I'm not
then
saying
the fact that I can't
Jake,
prove that it does
Jake,
not.
Jake.
I mean, you could use the same argument against yours.
Jake,
as far
do you
as
know
God
what?
wants.
Do you know what the principle of indifference is when we're talking about probability?
No.
Okay.
Never heard of it.
Okay, so imagine that I'm holding two envelopes in my hand, right? They're both sealed, and from your perspective, they look identical. Like you can't, no, they're one isn't thicker or thinner than the other. There's the more folding or wear on one than the other. As far as you can tell, they're qualitatively identical, right? If you saw one and then the other, you wouldn't be able to tell them apart. Okay, so I'm not holding one closer. I'm not holding one lower. They're just two envelopes in front of you, and I say one of these envelopes has a check for $1 million, and one of them just has a piece of paper like a check that says "Ha ha, you suck" on it. Now, since you don't know anything other than, let's say you know that I'm telling the truth, that one just has the "you suck" paper in it and the other has the $1 million check in it. You know that I'm telling you the truth, but you don't know which is in which. The principle of indifference says that because you don't have any way to tell which is more likely, you should just assign a 50% probability to each. You should say there's a 50% probability it's in the envelope in his left hand and a 50% probability it's in the envelope in his right hand. That's the principle of indifference. It just says that you spread probability evenly among the options when there's no reason to favor one over another. So a similar example would be, let's say instead of 2 envelopes in my hands, there are 3 envelopes on the table. Well, now the reasonable thing to do, and what the principle of indifference tells us to do, is to say that each envelope has a 33.3 repeating percent probability of having the check. If there's 4, it's 25% each. 5, it's 20% each. Until you have 100, then it's 1% each, and so on and so forth, right? Okay, so what that means is that if we then introduce a different variable, like let's say 40 of the envelopes are blue and the other 60 are red, but you have no reason to think that it would be in a blue envelope or a red envelope, you would now say there's a 40% chance that it's in a blue envelope and a 60% chance that it's in a red envelope. So it's now unexpected, because of the principle of indifference, it's unexpected, or it's less expected rather, that the check is in a blue envelope. So what I'm saying is, similarly, we have some number of universes where life could exist with fine-tuning, right? Let's say that there's, whatever, we'll call that number 10. And then there are many, many more non-fine-tuned ways the universe could have been, but because God's all power, he could have made life in any of them. So that means that, let's say that there are 10 different ways the universe could have been with fine-tuning in life, but there are, 1 billion ways God could have made the universe without fine-tuning with life. Or let's just say that we have, 10 with fine-tuning and 990 without, I hate that. Let's say we have 1 with fine-tuning and 999 without fine-tuning. Now, what we're saying is there's only a 0.1% chance that we would find life with fine-tuning if God exists, and there's a 99.9% chance we'll find life without fine-tuning if God exists. That means that it's extremely likely under this hypothesis that there be life without fine-tuning, and extremely unlikely there be life with fine-tuning. So then if we find life with the appearance of fine-tuning, we would say, wow, that's insanely unexpected if God exists, therefore this is evidence God doesn't exist.
Okay. I mean, if that's what you want to go with, that's fine, man.
All right, do you have anything else?
I still don't agree with it. No.
Okay, cool. Well, I
You're good,
appreciate the
man. I
conversation,
appreciate it.
Jake. Yeah, I hope you have a good one.
Yep.
I've been trying to think of ways to explain that, and I came up with that off the top of my head. I don't know if that's good, but
I thought that was a really good, I like that explanation. Because I've heard you make this claim a lot, and I think that's the clearest that you've ever made it with that example with the envelopes.
yeah. Yeah, well, I think
having this conversation with one person. Oh, sorry. I was having this conversation with one person one time, and he was saying that if the constants don't support life, so it's not nomologically possible for life to exist if the constants don't support it, for God to do it. If he did it anyway, then that would be like a contradiction. What do you think about that?
how could it possibly be a contradiction? The only way
So
that it
he-
could
he
be a
was-
contradiction is if you said, like, if you said it's physically impossible for life to exist and physically possible for life to exist, that would be a contradiction. But if you're just saying it's physically impossible for life to exist, but, you know, metaphysically possible for life to exist because God exists, I don't see how that would be a contradiction. 'Cause
Okay,
the-
yeah, you invoke the metaphysics.
Yeah, you just would have to know, like, what kind of possibility you're talking about. And now if you're saying that it's both possible and impossible with the same, in respect to the same kind of possibility, then yes, absolutely, that would be a contradiction. But if you're saying it's not possible in one modality, but it is possible in another, as long as the one that it's possible in is the broader scope modality, then I don't think that that's a problem, right? Because, like, it's logically possible that I could fly to the moon, right? Because the logical modality has the broadest scope. Well, typically you call it the broadest
right.
scope. So if the logical modality has the broadest scope, it's fine for me to say that it's logically possible for me to fly to the moon, but physically impossible, because we would expect there to be things that are possible under the broadest scope that aren't going to be possible under the more restrictive scope. That's the way I would look at it anyway. I don't know. Maybe that doesn't make any sense. Maybe I'm just yapping, but
What were you going to say before I interrupted you?
I have no idea.
Mission accomplished.
Fuck yeah. All right. We'll see if we can have one more conversation. Big Country's been like, or begging, or people have been begging on his back. Actually, hold on one second. I will bring up Big Country in just a second. I just need to really quickly say thank you to everybody that's supporting. I've been kind of ignoring it, so thank you so much, Saintly and Bertram and Ragnar, Vishab, Lem, Unknown Flows supporting. Bradley Cooper supporting Lobes. Thank you for that. Ragnar, Lupine, Lem. Oh fuck, it's a lot of the same people, and I'm so appreciative of the people that support so much. So, yeah, thank you everybody. Also, thank you for supporting Lobes. Make sure that if you're not already following Lobes, that you fix that. Okay. But we'll see if fuck, what was the name of that fighter that went by Big Country? Roy something? I missed that guy. He was awesome. Now I gotta look it up. MMA fighter, Big.
Hey, man.
Hi, how old are you?
Just turned 18.
Well, I'm really sorry, but you genuinely sound 13, so I'm just gonna be safe rather than sorry.
Lupine, did you see the argument, or did you see the conversation that I had with that? I don't remember the dude's name. He was really intelligent and really nice. But were you present for that one? This would have been last week.
So just because everybody, I'm sure, was really worried about the fighter I was thinking about, that sounded like Small Country. I agree, Martin. Fantastic point. The guy I was talking about was Roy Nelson, was his name. Big dude, always had a gut, never did cardio, but he could hit like a fucking truck. And then almost everybody forgot that he also had a black belt in jiu-jitsu, so they try to take him to the ground and then he'd destroy him anyway. I miss Roy Nelson. Yeah, I think that dude was awesome. I should go back to watching fights. But then again, so many of the fights suck. What do I say about Jake? Mostly good faith. Didn't really have much fine-tuning. Okay, we'll see if we can have one last conversation here before the end of the evening. This is... I'm not... this profile picture is not encouraging, I'll be honest. Hi, blank. How old are
Can you, 19?
What do I call you?
You just call me Damien.
Okay, is that like I-E-N?
Yeah, oh no, I-A-N.
You weirdo. No, I'm just kidding.
Cool.
I'm just kidding. What God do you believe in?
I believe in Jesus and whatnot, so.
Cool. And then what would you say is the best argument or evidence that would give us rational justification to believe in a God?
So my argument is that, say if God truly doesn't exist, then that would mean that evil truly wins. Like, there would be like there wouldn't be no point of being a good person or a bad person, because everybody's eventually gonna die. There's no point of, you know what I mean?
Okay,
That's
so it
how
just
I
sounds
view it.
like you don't understand how morals would work without a moral giver. I don't care. Let's say that there was a world with no morals. Why would that mean God must exist? Or that, let's imagine that it is true that if God doesn't exist, then there's no morality. Why does that mean God must exist?
Because God is the reason, I would say, for most people or some people out there, is that God's the reason why people are good in a way, or
Yeah, that doesn't answer my question. I understand that you're saying that people are motivated to be good because they believe in God, and that might be true. It's a disgusting thought, but maybe it's true. So what I'm asking, though, is let's imagine it's true that if God doesn't exist, then there are no morals. Why should that motivate us to believe in God?
I'm not quite sure, to be honest, because
I don't think it does.
So you basically said like how if there was a world with no morals, like it's just everybody just runs freely. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I don't think that that's what would be the case if there was no God, but I'm just saying, let's imagine you're right, and how does that get us to God? Because I don't think it does.
I'm not too sure.
Sure. And then the other issue that I'm seeing here is that essentially what you're doing is you're giving the contrapositive version of the generic moral argument. So the other version of it, or the way to flip what you're saying around, is if objective moral facts exist, then God must exist. Objective moral facts do exist, therefore God exists. I think that's essentially what you're saying, like the opposite version of that. Does that make sense?
Oh, so yeah. So you've had this conversation about like many times, I'm guessing.
Well,
about how like morals and all that.
I've talked a lot about the moral argument. There's a fantastic argument that I heard from a philosopher named Dan Linford that is my generic response. One time I was watching Loeb's live, and if I remember correctly, I think he gave this response, and I felt so happy. I don't know. It just made me so happy to think that this...
It's such a great response. Like, I mean, it's airtight, dude. I don't know how you could like really use the moral argument. I get excited when people posit the moral argument because I'm like, dude, I'm gonna slam dunk this.
Yeah, dude, I feel the same way.
Like the free will argument. Like whenever you can state a true dichotomy and show how both options don't work, that feels so good. That's such a logical W.
Here's what I'm going to start calling this. I'm going to start calling this the Linford dilemma. And here's the Linford dilemma, Damien. If we give that argument, like I'll throw it up on the screen here so that you're following along with what I'm talking about. But essentially the positive, because you were kind of giving the negative version, and so I'm saying if we went with the generic positive version, the argument would be something like what's on the screen. If objective moral facts exist, then God exists. Objective moral facts exist, therefore God exists. Now, do you feel like I'm straw manning you here? Because that's not my intention.
Oh no.
Okay, so I hopefully, yeah, you're following along with what I'm saying, and this isn't me just like making shit up. But okay, so what I'm saying here is that the problem is, and where the Linford dilemma comes in is this second premise. Because let's say that you gave this argument, and I say, you know what, I think that argument would work if the premises were true, so why should I think the premises are true? If you try to tell me why that second premise is true, that objective moral facts exist, there are only two ways to support that second premise, right? Either you can do it without reference to God or with reference to God. And either of these are going to ruin the argument. Now, the reason that doing it with reference to God ruins the argument is that it proves the first premise to be false, right? Because if you can show that objective moral facts exist without referring to God, then you've demonstrated that objective moral facts can exist without God, right? So that would ruin the argument. So you don't want to do that. But the problem is, if you go the other route, that you do refer to God, and I realize I didn't write to God here because I'm getting ahead of myself. What this does is it makes the argument circular. And the reason for that is that this argument right now, what this basically says is God exists because objective moral facts exist, right? Like that's the gist of this argument up here. The problem is, if you then follow that by saying objective moral facts exist because God exists, well, then we can reduce the argument down to God exists because God exists. So the problem here is that if you try to support this second premise without referring to God, you've ruined the argument by proving the first premise wrong. If you try to support it without referring to God, you've turned the argument into God exists because God exists, which just fails to God doesn't exist because God doesn't exist.
Okay, that makes sense. So you kind of, so you would say that people can be good without necessarily believing in any, like without anything, like like you could be a good person without being like without believing in anything, right?
Absolutely, yes. I completely agree with that. I'm trying to bring Lobes over to my side on this. Like, I don't want him to know that I'm working on this, but there's a thing that, so don't tell him, Damien. But I've been working on trying to get Lobes on my side on this one. But I think that there are objective moral facts without God. Like, I do think that there are objectively true and false moral statements regardless of God's existence.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. But it's because the reason why I asked that question was just because I was just thinking about it, because I know that I have watched your lives before, and I remember you had said that you value, being a good person and, like just being like nice to everybody and whatnot. And I was just thinking to myself, like if you're comparing yourself to like a bad person, right? Like they just go on about life, they just live their life being a terrible person to everybody, without consequence. Let's just say without consequence. It isn't necessarily like you could either be a good or bad person. Like it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I do get what you're saying, though.
It definitely matters less if you do believe in God, because that takes responsibility away from us here in the real world. Like if there's no God for divine justice for all of the misdeeds of people that have lived this life, and they die, we think that they get away with it. If we just defer to that, then we don't actually feel like we need to take up any accountability. Like God, like vengeance is God's, is a common thing that people will say. They'll give vengeance over to God. But if there is no God to give vengeance or to give justice, then we have the responsibility to do things right for ourselves and for our societies based on our values and based on the things that we think are important.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if you guys know, but there is people out there that unfortunately get away with these type of things, and it's just like it's just unfortunate.
I totally agree with that. What I don't think that I have ever presented this on a live before, so I'm going to try to get to virtue ethics here. So the argument would be that I'm a reflective agent, and what I mean by that, agent just meaning I'm a being that takes actions to pursue goals, and then reflective just means that I have the ability to reflect on my goals and the actions that I'm taking in pursuit of them. So I think we would all agree that I'm a reflective agent. Hopefully you guys can agree with that. And then my second point would be that if I am a reflective agent, then my goal is something that Aristotle called eudaimonia. And eudaimonia basically just means the good life, right? Eudaimonia would be a life that at the end of your life, you could look back and be proud of, be happy of, and feel like, you're glad you lived that type of life. That you can accurately assess whether or not you had a good life, and the assessment is that you did in fact have a good life. That would be eudaimonia. So if I'm a reflective agent, my goal is that, eudaimonia. So then the third point would be, if my goal is eudaimonia, if that's what I'm striving for, then I have reasons to act in accordance with virtue. The reason I'm saying I have reason to act in accordance with virtue if my goal is eudaimonia is because the highest likelihood of ways for me to act that would produce a life that I could reflect on at the end of my life and accurately evaluate as having been a good life is if I live with virtue, right? So that's why I'm saying if my goal is eudaimonia, then I have reason to act in accordance with virtue. If I have reason to do something, then I ought do it. And all I'm saying there is just what I mean when I say I ought do something is that I have a reason to do it. So then from all of those 4 points so far, I would conclude that I do have a reason, I ought act in accordance with virtue. But then I would say that if my reflective agency is sufficient to give me a reason to act in accordance with virtue, then that means that all reflective agents have a reason to act in accordance with virtue. So then my conclusion would be all reflective agents ought act in accordance with virtue. So I think that there is an objective standard that we can from which we can conclude, or there are objective truths from which we can conclude that we have an obligation to be virtuous.
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying. So you basically just want to live a good life so you could kind of like look back at it and like just be glad that you lived a good life.
Yeah, I think all of us would have the goal that at the end of our lives, we would want to be able to look back on our life, have the capacity to accurately determine whether or not we lived a good life, and be able to honestly come to the conclusion that we did in fact lead a good life. I don't think anybody wants to get to the end of their life and be filled with sorrow and regret over the way they lived their life. Now, obviously, some people are going to say, well, I could get to the end of my life and feel happy about it, even though I was, like scamming people and doing all kinds of horrible things. And I was, I hung up on my mom without saying I love you and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's possible someone could say that they feel they could still live a good life. But I don't think that if you're the kind of person who goes around scamming people, then what that means is that you don't have the ability to judge, because you don't have the ability to treat like cases alike, to respond to reason, you don't have the ability, you can't trust yourself to accurately reason about whether or not you've lived a good life. And if you can't trust yourself about whether you've lived a good life, or your own assessment of whether you've lived a good life, well, then you can never achieve eudaimonia, because part of eudaimonia is being able to trust yourself when you evaluate whether you lived a good life.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
I'm going to get out of here. Have a good rest of your chat.
All right, I love you, Lobes. Everybody follow Lobes.
Honey cakes.
But anyway, yeah, so that's my view, that I think that it's possible to say that we should live, that we have an objective obligation to be virtuous, and I don't think that we need anything supernatural to exist to get there.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Whoa, what the fuck is happening? TikTok is yelling at me.
Well, I think it's a very good, like, I don't know, it's just the way I was thinking about it, I was just thinking about, and yeah, I mean, that's probably about it on my part.
Okay.
But I did enjoy viewing your point of view, because I know even though we might have different, point of views or of things that, I like to understand the other person's side of the view too, you know what I mean? That's just how I am.
I have never actually really gotten to talk about that argument specifically, so I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to do that. I appreciate you listening and engaging. And I also appreciate the fact that, in general, this whole conversation, from my perspective, has been really good faith. I talked to a lot of people. If you've watched the live, you've probably seen me talk to a lot of people who just run away from every point that I make, run away from the points that they make themselves. It's pretty rough. But yeah, I appreciate you for not being like that.
Yeah.
So sincerely, thank you for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you, and I will probably let you go. But if you do have like some argument or thing in the future that you want to discuss that you think is like a knockdown argument for God, I'd be happy to have you come back and we'll discuss it again. Okay.
All right. Thank you, man.
Take care.
Have a good
Damien.
one.
Yeah, you too. Awesome. Well, W's for Damien. I think that was a good conversation. Holy shit. I just noticed some folks over in the YouTubes that made me extremely happy to see. So thank you. I don't know who everybody is over there, but I see Soul specifically, and that is amazing. Unfortunately, I don't know who the other people are, but the aesthetics of do not come into my. Okay, so Life is Literary must be one of a few different people, but I cannot believe that you would come into my YouTube and start talking about pragmatism and aesthetics. Mods, ban this person. No, but however, unfortunately, well, fortunately for me, kind of, we are past 10 p.m. here in the Central Time Zone. So I am going to go ahead and actually end the live. Thank you so much, everybody who's been here. Thank you to all the people supporting Unknown Error 404, Unknown Flows, Error 404, Lem, Denise Ann, Eddie, Lem, everybody. Thank you so much. Thanks for everybody who's been liking and sharing. I appreciate you all so much, sincerely. As I say at the end of all of my lives, just remember, tomorrow is not guaranteed. You don't know how many more opportunities you're going to have to let your family and friends know how much you care about them. So don't let those opportunities pass you by. Now, okay, what I want to try to do is, if we can get a few people, yes, Lobes, yes, I just thought about that. What I want people to do is go watch Tiny Science and let them know I sent you. Okay.